Hey guys, welcome back to the show. We're keeping it real, goes right. Welcome back to Real Take Sports Talk. As always, it's me, Omer, joined by Andrew, and returning for the first time in almost 2 to 3 to 4. I don't know how long he's been away exactly, 3 months, I think. John Gonzalez, Johnny G. What's up, Johnny?
What's good? What's good? I need the Edwin Diaz trumpets, the Blaster Jacks and Timmy trumpet in the background here for my triumphant return. I'm very excited to be back.
Well, you see, if you had told me that before in like a pre-production meeting, that might could have been arranged. But now it's just like you just gotta deal with what we got. We are low budget and back and ready to tell you all about sports. Johnny, take it away. What do we got on tap tonight?
Yes, sir. So before we get to what I hear it in the background here, I love it. Bro, that song's been stuck in my head for days now. He started
Because
using it last year, but I heard it the other day in the Mets Cardinals broadcast, and it's
you
been
got
in
to
my head.
understand the reason why he was doing so shitty when he first got here was because he changed it. This was his entrance song when he was in Seattle. That's why he was so good. Then he came here, changed it, played shitty, and then we actually petitioned. Some of us were petitioning to have him change it back. He did under his own accord, and now he's a god again.
Yeah, it makes sense to me. I mean, you can't not get hyped listening to that song. So anyway, make sure that you guys hit that like and subscribe button down below so you can check out all the great content we have going on. And for today's content, we got a lot going on around the world of sports. We have NFL news, baseball news, and some basketball conversation as the season winds down. But why don't we get started with the biggest news in professional sports? The Jacksonville Jaguars have signed superstar baseball player Tim Tebow to play tight end for them. Andrew, why don't you tell us about why Tim Tebow is going to turn the Jaguars into a playoff team and not that guy at Clemson?
Well, I wouldn't go that far. I wouldn't say Tebow is going to exactly turn them into a playoff team. It is a very nice pickup. I don't know if you people heard me, but Aaron Hernandez, for obvious reasons, was not available for tight end, so Urban had to go to the next best thing out of Florida, which was Tebow. Tebow's trying to make the comeback. It is, I think he can do it. He's a very good athlete. I would watch out. I know Urban likes to run the end around, and Tebow is the perfect quarterback. He's the perfect anything to run the end around. So just watch out for that end around. I think it was a pretty good move. He's back in Florida. He's like royalty down there. They fucking love him down there. I mean, there's nothing more to say. I think this was Urban. I think this might have been a desperation move for Urban, as I said before. Certain dude is no longer available. His services are no longer available at tight end. Certain Florida dude, so he had to go to the next best thing. So we'll see what happens.
So I'm gonna take that in a completely different direction than he did. And I'm gonna say, Tim Tebow, Johnny, you and I kind of talked about this earlier today. Tebow's had one of the most interesting sports careers that anyone has had. Like, whatever you want to say about the guy, oh, he can't throw the football, he's not a great starting quarterback, all those things aside, the dude has had one of the most interesting, intriguing careers ever. And then like that 30 for 30 they do, that Last Dance, whatever, of Tim Tebow, his sports documentary, when it's all said and done, that's gonna be one of the most interesting things ever, because the dude went on, he was a Hall of Fame college football quarterback, had one of the best careers in college football history, got drafted in the first round in the NFL. The one season he was given a chance to start, had a winning record, led his team to a playoff game, led his team to a playoff win, the first ever win in the new overtime rules in NFL history. And then, got replaced by Peyton Manning, fizzled out in the NFL, went to the Mets minor league system. Yeah, and then he ended up coming back as an ESPN college football analyst, and then now the return of Tim Tebow as a tight end. So I think we need to give that props as well. I'll get into the football signing in a minute, but Tim Tebow's career has to be one of the most interesting careers we've ever seen. Like you can't write this kind of stuff. Like the dude is literally like before the age of 33, he's been a head analyst at ESPN. He's been like on every show there is. He's been in Super Bowl commercials. The dude has been a baseball player, a quality like minor league baseball player at that too. whatever you want to say about his performance on the field, a quality starter according to all the metrics that we measure starting quarterbacks at in the one season he was given a chance. And everyone knows that he is an athletic freak. He's a freak of nature. He's like he's 6'4". He's a 260-pound behemoth running through people, running over people. Like, he can do it all. And I think that Tim Tebow, as an athlete, is a great story. I think Tim Tebow's story, should also be the highlight of this signing when we're talking about it, because it's definitely one of the most intriguing stories we've ever seen. And I do think that if Tim Tebow were to somehow, I don't think it's going to be this year, but who knows what could happen. A few years from now, if he were to stay with the team and eventually win the Super Bowl, imagine that. Imagine Tim Tebow, that being like a capping of his look. When God is with you, who can be against you? And that's the one thing we know about Tebow, man. Like, he's whatever you believe in, he's got dude has some sort of a connection with the Almighty, because this is one hell of a story. And there's no other player in the history of sports that can say that they have a story like Tim Tebow's, and that's the truth.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely an interesting story. There's no doubt about it. He's a real likable guy. He's a guy that everywhere he goes, people rave about. He does a lot of charity work in the community. All in all, I can't say enough good things about Tim Tebow as a person. As a football move, I mean, like, we saw Tim Tebow and how that athleticism played off the ball. He played punt protector for the Jets and Patriots. It didn't really work out. He kind of had his opportunity to give tight end a shot way back when they were looking at knocking him out of the league, and he didn't want to give it a shot. We have to see, what do his hands look like? What type of tight end is he going to look like? At the end of the day, is he just going to be another body blocking off the line? And is that a roster spot better used for an actual tight end who knows blocking schemes? Or are we looking at a tight end who's going to run routes in a route tree? We're looking at a guy who's going to catch passes over the edge. Andrew's shaking his head. Yes. I don't see
4 down back right there. I thought that's a 4 down tight end you got right there. Hell yeah.
Yeah. You think that he's catching passes, running in the flat, taking hits from linebackers?
Oh, yeah.
How old is he now? 30, 31?
Dude, he's
33.
running dudes over in the secondary, dude. He's going to run over dudes in the secondary. He's going to, you might see the stiff arm. You might see him rock the Heisman. He is a Heisman winner. You might see him rock the Heisman pose once. You might see him rock the Heisman pose once this season. He's going to run dudes over. Not to Derrick Henry's level, but I think he might catch a body here and there. Absolutely.
I think it'll be definitely interesting to see. It's just another interesting storyline to go along with a fascinating Jacksonville Jaguars season. Let's kick it to the NFC. Oh, Omer, you got something else?
I do have one more thing I want to add about this signing specifically, because I talked about, Tebow's, what he means, I guess, to sports in general. But as far as this signing goes for Jacksonville, I think look, let's be honest about this. The signing is because of two primary reasons. One, because Urban Meyer knows Tim Tebow. He knows the kind of person, the kind of player Tim Tebow is. He's coached him before, and that definitely plays into this. Like, Urban wants one of his guys who possibly knows his system, who he knows can teach these younger guys the system, maybe even be a mentor to Trevor Lawrence without taking the shine away from him in the spotlight. So there's different factors going into it. I think that's one of them. The other is, I think, a part of it is kind of like a marketing thing, because Jacksonville, since the end of the Saxonville era, has had a problem with marketing. And I cover wrestling on our Tuesday night show, Real Take Wrestle Talk, every Tuesday at 8 p.m. And Tony Khan, who is one of the managers and the owner's son in Jacksonville, is the owner of one of the wrestling companies in America. And he's known to be a hell of a marketer. He knows how to get eyes on the product. He knows how to do all that. So he's been given a little more reign in Jacksonville recently. And I think this could be part of a marketing, I don't want to say stunt, because I think this is the way you do it. If you want to bring Tim Tebow in, you don't bring him in and, take the shine away from your starting quarterback. You bring him in as a tight end. You bring him in as someone who can be maybe that situational player, because I think that's what he's going to end up being. He's going to end up being like a situational player, possibly in the goal line, possibly as a fullback, I think, too, because, we know that the fullback position has kind of been flushed out in football. So I think look for Tebow for that to be his spot. Maybe as a situational tight end in these package plays, a Taysom Hill type player, possibly. That could be the role, and I think it would be a great role for Tebow on that team. To say that he's going to be an every down fullback tight end, I wouldn't put it past him. Look, I wouldn't I'm the biggest Tim Tebow fan there is. Got my 15 Florida jersey in the closet. I wouldn't put it past him, but at the same time, it's one of those things where, it takes time for you, no matter where you are, who you are, to learn the position, especially if you've never played it before. And I do believe Tim Tebow is going to get better throughout the season. I do believe, hey, if he sticks around for another year, who knows? The dude could have a great, run as a tight end for 2, 3, whatever years. But all these people who are saying, oh, well, Tim Tebow's going to come in day one, be a Hall of Fame tight end, that's capping a little bit. That's capping. And look, hope he does. Genuinely hope Tim Tebow does, because, like I said, Tim Tebow, one of the most interesting sports stories there's ever been, and it's hard to hate the guy. It's hard not to love him.
It really is hard not to love him.
I view this more as his tryout for Tampa Bay. This is more of that 1-year deal. This is his tryout for Tampa Bay when Gronk decides to hang it up again.
I don't think the Buccaneers are going to need Tebow's services. I think they'll be just fine without him.
Yeah, you're right. They'll just draft another tight end.
They might. Let's jump to the NFC to a quarterback that it might be a little bit easier to hate. Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers continue their battle. Earlier this week, it came out. ESPN's Adam Schefter reported that Aaron Rodgers wants out of Green Bay, that the situation was largely untenable, that Rodgers had made fun of Packers GM. You guys might have to help me with this one. Brian Gutekunst. Beautiful.
Gutekunst.
There we go. Brian Gutekunst. Hey, he was making fun of him in group chats. So, guys, what are our general thoughts? Does Aaron Rodgers hold out? Does he stay? Does he force a trade to a certain team? Do the Packers say fuck it and move him to football purgatory? There are a lot of places. There are a lot of ways that this could go. The Packers have been steadfast that Rodgers is their guy, but it's hard to get over the Jordan Love situation.
So,
Andrew, you're shaking your head. Omar,
if Rodgers isn't moved. Oh, you can go.
This is why I've missed the 3-man shows. But I think the interesting part of the story, Johnny, that we did mention was the report that Adam Schefter said on the Dan Patrick Show. So on the Dan Patrick Show, Adam Schefter, he came on and he said that he didn't really have a one source for that report that he made on draft night about the Aaron Rodgers story. It was kind of like a buildup and accumulation of things, and he said he just happened to drop that Schefter bomb on draft night. And it was just a coincidence that it happened then. And that got a lot of people talking about how this potentially just could have been a plant by Adam Schefter to maybe boost ESPN's ratings on draft night, which, look, I think there was certain incentive to do that, but I also think that, this isn't any different, because a lot of people have said, oh, Adam Schefter's made this up, which is, I think that's foul. That's not true, because, look, this is, when you're an insider in the NFL, you hear things all off season long, and I think for Adam Schefter, knowing what he knows about football, knowing the insight he has and how he's reported stuff in the past, I do think he kind of sat on this a little bit until draft night. I think that part is true, but I think that saying that he, he just made this report up, that's asinine. Like this happens all the time. That's how Woj gets all of all this NBA drama that Woj drops. That's all of that is just an accumulation of ideas, an accumulation of talks that he has with different people. It's the same thing working here. So, I just want to get your guys' thought on that specifically.
My thought on that specifically is this is the NFL's comeuppance for telling Schefter and the other ESPN reporters they couldn't tweet out the draft picks before they were made.
Yeah.
So I think that's what they deserve. What is Schefter going to tweet on draft night if he can't tell you a minute and a half before the picks are made who's getting picked? He's going to make up some bullshit about Aaron Rodgers. But no, in all seriousness, I think you're right. Look, this Aaron Rodgers situation is nothing new. This Aaron Rodgers situation is nothing that we haven't seen. Aaron Rodgers has a radio show that he goes on and talks about it himself, that he's not happy about the Jordan Love situation. We all know it. What does it matter if Schefter waits until draft night when the ears and eyes are on them at ESPN? I mean, the whole show's on ESPN. Like, what does it matter? Like, what are they going to talk about? There was rumors before the draft itself that the 49ers might be looking to make a move for him at 3, right? To trade that pick to the Packers so the Packers could take a quarterback and they could get Rodgers and move off of Garoppolo all at the same time. So okay, wow, Adam Schefter, added some spice to draft day. Fans are going to get mad about Adam Schefter making draft day more interesting?
Apparently they are.
I think more or less the issue of it was they felt that Adam Schefter and Rodgers were trying to hijack draft night. Draft night's about the rookies. Draft night's about the next generation, and it was more or less like, what did this drop? Like, how many hours? But this dropped at 3 or 4 o'clock. The draft started at 7. This dropped 3 hours, something like that before the actual draft. So I feel like they were trying to hijack the draft. In terms of Aaron Rodgers, he's gone. There's no repairing it. This has been an accumulation. After a while, you just get fed up. I think Rodgers holds out if they don't trade him. Although I think he is going to get traded for cap purposes, so they don't, take the cap hit. I think he's going to try to force his way to a winner. He's going to try to force his way to a team that's got a pretty solid defense and some weapons around them. That's why we were talking about this, I think a week ago. Denver is a solid spot. There's been some speculation by some people at Woke Sports Network that we could potentially see Aaron Rodgers go to the Washington football team, WFC, or WFT. That would be pretty cool. But this Rodgers thing, we're going to hear more about it as it comes out, and it's a shame, man.
See, to me, the reports that were coming out too, they weren't necessarily. Rodgers didn't want this to get out. I think that's one thing we need to be very clear about. So, Rodgers apparently never wanted this to get out because he told the Packers this in confidence, and even Adam Schefter said that he got all this information that he was getting was from Packers team officials. So they were the ones apparently that were kind of leaking bits and pieces of this information throughout the entire process. Andrew, stop that. And it became one of these things where the Packers thought that, maybe it became one of these things where the Packers thought, hey, if we kind of put this information out there, we can kind of win the PR battle with the fans, because there's a lot of Packers fans out there who understand what Aaron Rodgers is going through, but then there's a lot who don't and don't care. There's a lot who are like, oh, Aaron Rodgers is putting himself before the team, blah, blah, blah. He needs to, shut up and play football and blah, 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 and ignoring the fact that Aaron Rodgers has been the Packers franchise since Brett Favre left. There is no Green Bay Packers without Aaron Rodgers. And the fact that Aaron never wanted this to get out, the fact that Aaron has not done an interview after this, the fact that Aaron, even talking to people like AJ Hawk, who is one of his best friends, is very, very, he doesn't say a lot about the situation. I think there's a huge indication here that this wasn't coming from the Rodgers camp. This wasn't coming from him. He wasn't trying to hijack the draft. I think if you're looking at this from a PR perspective, it's very easy to see that two things are true. One, the Packers team officials were leaking this information to Adam Schefter for months in an attempt to maybe get ahead of all this kind of stuff the way it would eventually come out. And two, Schefter just dropped it on draft day so the ratings would be cool. That people look, and again, that's the game. That's the game. That's the part of the game everyone understands. Like Adam Schefter is an insider, right? But he also works for ESPN. That's something that needs to be understood. It's not his job to, be 100% ethical about everything all the time. No, ESPN hired him to be an insider. Yeah, he has journalistic standards to fit into. Other than that, though, he's working for the network, and the network has him so that they could get ratings, especially on draft night. So I think that's a very important thing to keep in perspective when we're talking about this specific situation.
Hey, Shefty might have been trying to force a trade. Shefty might have been, he might have been trying to play his own Madden GM type. He might have been trying to force a trade between Green Bay. You put news out there, Aaron Rodgers on the move. He could have been trying to, see if maybe San Francisco would bite and send that number 3 up there to Green Bay. He could have been trying to force his own trades. You don't know.
Talk about ratings. That'd be one hell of a ratings boom.
Dude, the entire night it was always, dude. Think about it. There were people the entire night talking about this. Like when San Francisco was up there were people saying they could potentially be drafting for Green Bay. Like there was all that became a talking point once he dropped that. He could have been trying to force his own trades. I got to tell you though, the ratings definitely he did get people talking. Shefty did get people talking.
And at the end of the day, if the ratings are up and people are tuning in, what's the problem, right? Isn't that the whole game? Isn't that the point? You want people invested, you want people watching, you want chaos, you want fun. Isn't it better that literally anything could have happened? We knew 1 and we knew 2, right? We knew the Jets were going to take Zach Wilson and we knew the Jags were going to take Trevor Lawrence. And so we didn't know what was going to happen with 3. Mac Jones, Justin Fields. They eventually took what's his name from man, I'm blanking here.
Trey Lance from North Dakota
Trey
State.
Lance, thank you. They took Trey Lance from North Dakota State eventually, but you didn't know what could happen. They could move down. They could, that trade just to get to 3 was ridiculous anyway. It changed the whole draft. So I don't see how more eyeballs and more chaos and more just complete utter who knows what's going to happen next is bad for the league. It's good for ratings. It's good for subscribers. It's good for eyeballs. It's good for interest. So where's the downside? Is it going to come from the sky? Like, I don't know.
Well, no, it's just.
Here.
Well, no, it's the only downside is Shefty did his job. He helped them get their ratings, and now it's just the AM time slots. All those shows in the AM are going to sit there and just plunge those ratings into the ground again with all their dumbass takes that they think are fucking Bible, but.
Hey! I watch Get Up with Mike Greenberg every morning.
I like Greeny.
Everyone loves Greeny.
I love Greeny.
Everyone loves everyone except for Mike Golick.
Everything else though, everything else between like 9 and noon, single-handedly running that fucking network into the ground.
Well, there's a reason why it's on it from 9 to noon because that's when people are at work. Not people are watching.
Oh, trust me, there's a lot of people watching, dude. Oh, trust me, there's a lot of people watching at that hour. You'd be surprised. There's a lot of people.
A lot of people's Air Force
right now, dude. There's a lot of people who are unemployed right now who are collecting unemployment that have nothing better to do than sit there and listen to Woke Sports Network run their mouth every day from 9 to 12 Eastern time.
So, any final football related thoughts for us?
No, not any right now. I have some other thoughts that I want to say off the air, but.
Indy just signed a dude from Kansas City to
Eric Fisher to 1 year, $9 million deal.
It's not going to mean nothing when they lose in the second round, but we'll get to that when we get to that.
Yeah.
Might not even win the division. They might not even win
little Titans bias for you from our unbiased NFL journalist Andrew.
Mm-hmm.
On to Major League Baseball, a kerfuffle in the Bronx, not between players, but between Jose Altuve's feelings and the fans. As the fans let Jose Altuve know this weekend, they do not care about you or what you think. The Yankees fans let the Astros have it with chants of fuck you, fuck your birthday. That one was my favorite. And just all around constant booing of the Astros. Altuve and Bregman got the brunt in particular. The Astros complained about it to Major League Baseball. Dusty Baker in a press conference talked about how it was affecting Altuve at the plate. Guys, what do you think?
I know something else that was affecting Altuve at the plate a few years back. I know a few things that were affecting him a few years back.
Just don't take his shirt off. Don't take his shirt off. But this is the first time that Yankees fans get to see the Astros since the cheating scandal came out. And they took full advantage of their opportunity. It wasn't a packed crowd. Obviously, New York has a lot more fans than some other places around the country right now. And so a lot more fans there than you might see around other stadiums. But they really let the Astros have it. And I, for one, I'm all about it. It's New York. It's the kind of thing that you expect. I mean, you walking into Yankee Stadium, Citi Field, Citizens Bank Park, Fenway. Like you're gonna get booed for something or another. Like it's always everything is fair game at a few of these parks. So The fact that you committed the worst cheating scandal in baseball history, since the Black Sox, got expelled from the league, like you're gonna cry about the fans letting you have it.
Especially when you didn't get punished for it. I think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. When the players themselves, who were instrumental in this cheating scandal, the players themselves, nothing happened to them. Major League Baseball is gonna get mad at the fans about this. Like, that's the part that, honestly, to me, like you know how I feel about this. You guys know how I feel about this. I'm not a Yankees fan. I wasn't like screwed over by this. In fact, my team somehow happened to beat these cheating Astros in the World Series somehow. But regardless, when you, like what they did is something that should have been punished to a very large degree, but it wasn't. That's not how you disincentivize this type of behavior. And what really gets to my core, you mentioned something in there, Johnny. The fact that the Astros organization apparently complained to Major League Baseball about this. And what happened in that game apparently showed that Major League Baseball had a mandate that went out to the Yankees fans, or Yankees team especially, because they actually told fans at the stadium that if you come here and you start chanting about the Astros, if you come here and you wear shirts that say anything about the trash can scandal or whatever, you're going to get kicked out. Here, I have this one thing from Sports Illustrated, which chronicled the story of one Yankees fan who was kicked out because of the new mandate. And it says, quote, when he arrived wearing the costume and carrying the sign reading, "You ain't stealing this costume, Trastros," he drew laughs from the cameras and fans. Unfortunately, also drew the attention of security, who said, quote, "Our policy changed." And the guard added that apparently the Astros complained to the MLB about the fans in other cities, and the MLB told the Yankees to tighten their rules, which, in my opinion, it's the dumbest thing, especially in a sport like baseball, when you already you're already like behind the other major sports as it is. And secondly, during a pandemic, during when you can't have a full capacity at stadiums, you want the fans there to be engaged. And you're doing the opposite. You're saying the fans, oh, you're going to control what they say at the stadiums? That's dumb. That is literally the dumbest thing you can do, not only for the fan experience, but for the sport of baseball. It's not like they're not throwing batteries at the dudes. They're not like chanting racial epithets at the dude. They're not doing anything other than saying, dude, you didn't get punished for something everybody knows you were wrong for. And Major League Baseball, they're not even going to give the fans the right to chant at them. Dude, bad chanting happens at the games regardless. Yeah, I promise you, there are going to be some fans who are chanting that regardless of whether a cheating scandal happened or not. But the fact that they are going back on this, the fact that the Major League Baseball is defending the Astros, you know what it proves, dude? It proves that the MLB does not even in the slightest want to affect the players. They do not in the slightest want to punish the players for this, because you're going out of your way to protect them from something that they don't even need protection from. They're chanting. Fans are chanting and letting these players know what you did was wrong, terrible for the sport, and you undermined the sanctity. I'm not one to talk about the sanctity of the game and all that kind of stuff, but they literally undermine the basic sanctity of the game. Like, come on. It is deplorable. Fire Rob Manfred yesterday. Like, this is like he hasn't shown, like, as if he hasn't shown enough times how inept of a commissioner he is. Like, come on, man. You messed up and you're not even gonna let the fans say their piece? Get out of here.
Well, yeah, and of course, this is just another instance of Manfred fucking up. I mean, we've seen it time and time again. At this point, I think he just does it for shits and giggles. He just figures, I dropped the ball on this one, might as well just drop the ball on this one. It's not gonna fucking matter, because at the end of the day, what I say goes. So, it's not gonna fucking matter. I mean, what these people were saying to Altuve, I mean, honestly, get over it. Like, I'm sorry, I'm sorry he's not tall enough to reach the top shelf of the supermarket. That's not my problem. That's beyond my. I'm sorry. It wasn't shade. It was an Altuve. It was meant for Altuve. But
no, I'm laughing, Brody. You good?
Anyone who's ever been to a Mets Phillies game, like I've been to a Mets Phillies game, and I have heard worse shit said. I have heard worse shit said from a Phillies fan to a Mets player or a Mets fan to a Phillies player than what
Bro,
Altuve.
the Phillies fans will say it to their own fucking players.
Dude, I mean, come on. Like, I've seen you go to Philly, dude. I mean, like, I've seen fans of like they've slashed the tires of fans of their own team. Like, this is just Manfred.
ESPN stole a story that Gary Cohen on the Mets broadcast was talking about when they were building Citizens Bank Park and deciding to assign, because the bullpens are stacked on top of each other out in right field. And so Gary Cohen was like, yeah, Billy Wagner was pitching for Phillies back then. And they asked him what bullpen you think that they should use. And they were telling him that they were going to give the Phillies the top one. And Wagner was like, no, fuck that shit. There is absolutely no way that you're putting – it might have been Bradley. But there's absolutely no way that you're putting the Phillies bullpen arms up near the fans, because when we're having a bad game, they're going to throw shit at us. Make the fucking road teams deal with that shit.
And that's exactly what they did. So, I mean, this is just, I think the Astros, they got to get over it, expect it. They got lucky last season with the shortened season and no fans in the stadium. There's certain ballparks where they're not even going to get that. No one goes to Marlins games because, their attendance, no one goes to those games. Colorado, I mean, they barely have any attendance. So, there are going to be games where they don't have to deal with this. And you know what? You go to New York and it's just, you got to expect it. You got to expect some retaliation, especially given the way that the shit went down and given the way it was handled. You got to expect some retaliation. So I don't blame them. I just think with Altuve, it was one of those situations where, he gets self-conscious sometimes about his height because, him and Kyler Murray, he's like the Kyler Murray of the MLB. I'll call him the mighty midget. He's like the Kyler Murray of the MLB. Sometimes I think it gets to him. He gets in his feelings and he lashes out. So, he's got to be better than that, though. You're a professional. You get paid too much money to, get pissed off about your height.
Literally, like, this is like the most snowflake story I've ever seen in from Major League Baseball. Like, dude, come on! Like, people get hit for throwing a bat. This is a game where people get freaking hit by a 90-mile-per-hour fastball for throwing their bat the wrong way, and Major League Baseball is completely okay with that. Oh, but at the same time, oh my God, the fans they can't dare like throw inflatable trash cans on the field. That's hilarious. Come on, or they can't tell Altuve, who cheated his way to a World Series win. What? By the way, cheated in games they probably didn't. In games they probably didn't even need to cheat in to win, but cheated regardless their way to a World Series. They're getting mad at the fans for that? Like, how tone deaf are you? Especially when I'm sorry, it always comes down to this. They didn't punish them, man. They got away with it. They all got away with it. Like, everyone who was fired got rehired, reinstated. They all landed on their feet a year later. That's it.
I mean, there's
literally nothing stopping teams. You might not be able to do the trash can thing again, but there's nothing disincentivizing teams from doing similar things in the future. And that's the part that gets to me. And the other part is, man, like, I don't know what it is. I don't know whether Rob Manfred thinks like, oh, we just need to move on. This unity healing shit. We need to just move on, or whether it's just like, he wants to, maybe he's an Astros fan. I don't know, because literally nothing here, like, tells me that they want to address the real problem. Instead, they're going out of their way to do something they've never done before, like censoring fans at stadiums, because Altuve has been getting his feelings hurt, or the Astros complained about it once. Dude, I promise you, like, there have been players who have heard much worse things that the teams never complained about and nothing was ever done about. But you're getting mad at fans for taunting the Astros for cheating? Fuck off.
Listen, baseball is a game of retaliation. Baseball is, it's one of those things where, somebody hits a home run, flips a bat, and then the bench is clear, and then someone's getting hit next inning. Baseball is a sport where, if I taunt your team, my teammate, the next inning, he's getting hit. It's a game of retaliation. It's a game of individual battles. And sometimes a battle that I win and I celebrate a little too hard, my teammate might have to, take the blow. That's why it's a team game. And It is what it is. As you said before, man, Manfred dropped the ball, and he's got to get better than that. In the words of Roger Goodell, I made a mistake, but I don't think Manfred will ever own up to it. And
Oh, you'll never hear him apologize for it ever.
You will never. His ego is too big. And Altuve, get better. This is like a classic case of when the bully finally gets bullied. It's like the bully finally gets bullied and then cries about it. You know what? The Astros can fucking cry about it for all I give a fuck. You didn't win shit when you were in the National League. You had to go to the American League West. Why? Because let's be honest, out of all the divisions in baseball, the American League West is the easiest. Out of all the divisions in baseball, the American League West is one of the easiest divisions. So you left the NL Central because you couldn't compete with the fucking Cardinals and the fucking Cincinnati and Milwaukee every other fucking year. You went out to the AL West because the easiest fucking division, because Seattle has been falling apart forever. Seattle has been falling apart. The Angels spend more money than the fucking Yankees and can't make the playoffs. Oakland is good every 5 years. And Texas has not recovered from losing the fucking 2012 World Series. So you go out to that division just because, you want to give yourself a chance, and then you go cheat. No, fuck them. Fuck them.
The Yankee fans all agree. Any final thoughts before we jump on to our next topic?
Yeah, turn your phone off.
Hey, I thought it was off. I can't help you there.
Jacob Degrom went to the IL. I wish him a
we'll talk about that in a
We will
second.
get there shortly. But
this is
first,
why it's important, guys. Whenever you're doing a podcast, definitely look over the show notes that are prepared hours beforehand. Just look over some topics.
Anyway, back to New York we go. Not for the Mets, but for the Jets. It rhymes though, so it's close. Quarterback Zach Wilson. He said on Staying Humble, quote, obviously that's important, but that's not my focus right now. My focus is to learn the offense, keep getting better every single day, to do what I can with the guys around me, and I think the rest takes care of itself. In this position, the coaches want to play the best player, and that position's got to be earned. I got to go in there, and I got to make sure I do what I'm supposed to do, and that will take care of itself. Guys, Zach Wilson is saying all the right things. He looks the part. He's taking nice pictures and good-looking suits. Is Zach Wilson the guy? Is he better than Darnold? Is Robert Saleh going to lead this team to continued success to challenge the Bills' supremacy in the AFC East?
I mean, I don't know if he's necessarily better talent-wise than Sam Darnold. I think he's in a better situation than Darnold was, considering the fact they didn't do jack fucking shit for him, Sam Darnold, when he was there. And on top of that, there was the whole Adam Gase thing, which, as we've seen before, Adam Gase can hold any quarterback back, which is, once again, why Peyton Manning is a Hall of Famer, because the fact that Peyton Manning was able to overcome Adam Gase and win is beyond me. Like, you got to be a special fucking talent, which Peyton was. Peyton was one of, the chosen one. So Peyton was. And I think Zach Wilson's in a better spot than Big Sam was. I mean, that's really all it is. Do I think the Jets are going to challenge? Hell no. The Jets are maybe a season or two away from actually challenging for that division. Buffalo is going to run that division for the next couple of years. Although I think the Jets are on the right path. But for the foreseeable future, I mean, we're going to see what happens with Zach Wilson, because as we've seen with the Jets, they thought they had it right with Sam Darnold. And then, 3 years later, we were in the exact same fucking spot. So, and the Jets do not exactly have the best track record with quarterbacks. I think the best quarterback they've had the last 20 years was what? The longest tenured one the last 20 years, the one that lasted the longest was Mark Sanchez, and that was because his defense was elite. And the only other one after that, I think that was actually somewhat decent, was what? Fitzmagic. So
Testaverde.
They don't have a very good
McCown?
track record with quarterbacks the last 20 years. So
Brett Favre.
Look, here's the thing. If you're asking me about the dude's attitude, I think his attitude is great, especially for the situation he's about to go into, because I love the hire of Robert Saleh. I like what the Jets have done this offseason. But if you're asking me if I trust the Jets to develop Zach Wilson into a big-time franchise quarterback that he has the potential to be, I'm not sure if I can honestly say that. But what Zach Wilson can do, because like I said, the Jets have a bad track record of quarterbacks. We don't have to retread that every time we talk about this specific case because it's just true. It's like there's three common facts in the world: death, taxes, and the Jets not developing their quarterback. So that's neither here nor there. As far as this goes, it's up to Zach Wilson to kind of dictate what he can control, and what he can control is focusing on football. If Zach Wilson goes in there, focuses on football, focuses on building, the rapport with his receivers and the offense and learning it and getting better at football, he has a chance to maybe break the Jets' curse. And again, like Wilson to me had high risk, high reward type of potential in this draft. He was like that type of player. So either he can come in, develop very quickly into a very good player, or he's going to come in and fizzle out in a year or two. Like that's literally, he's that type of guy. So we don't know exactly what he'll end up being. We have indications that he might have been, a short-term wonder in college, but he has tools. He's got, like I said, he's got the look. He's got the arm. He's got like a bit of, he's just like, again, high risk, high reward with him. And the other thing with Wilson specifically is, and him with the Jets is, how much is he going to develop this season? Because this is the first year for Wilson. More than any other quarterback, I think, is more important because we already know the what's it called, the Trevor Lawrence, like he's got all the time in the world to develop into what people want him to be. We know that Trey Lance, he's seen as a project in many aspects. He's got time to develop. He's probably going to have Jimmy G in front of him. We know that Justin Fields, a lot of people have him as possibly the most NFL-ready quarterback or one of the most NFL-ready quarterbacks, but even he has Andy Dalton in front of him. Who is Zach Wilson sharing the depth chart with? No names. Like it's what there's that, I forgot the guy's name. He was like picked 199 in 2019. Like you think he's gonna be he started a few games for the Jets last year. You think he's gonna be the guy, the placeholder? No, it's gonna be on Zach Wilson's shoulders from day one. And I think for the Jets, you don't need to win 8, 9 games, 10 games for him to be a success. You need him to make minimal mistakes, and you need him and the team to at least hit 5, 6 wins to be a success. But again, it's easier said than done with this team, guys. We've seen their track record with the quarterbacks.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, Zach Wilson's the guy. There's no safety net. There's no, just in case. There's no, maybe we'll throw this other guy in for the first 3 games of the season. Zach Wilson's your starter from game 1 to game 17, and that's it. They moved off of Darnold. They don't have anyone backing Wilson up, like you said. So it's all on his shoulders. And so he's talking a big game now, and he's saying all the right things, and he looks the part. And yeah, he's got a big arm, and he looked good for 8 games in college. Sure, all that's true. But what is he going to do come time? You're seeing across the league, teams are already opting out of voluntary OTAs. So you're going to look at a shortened and maybe chaotic offseason program for a rookie quarterback coming in with a shortened preseason, right? So let's not forget, they shortened the preseason to add another regular season game. So you're talking about teams not knowing how to maneuver the offseason in chaotic times. You're talking a rookie quarterback with not a big track record coming in his rookie season, playing with sky-high expectations for a team in New York. I don't know if the Jets just love making the same mistakes over and over and over again. And it really doesn't even have to do with Zach Wilson or his possible talent. The kid could be awesome. I'm not saying that he's not. But you look around the roster, and even if with a few draft picks on the offensive end, the roster is kind of barren. The offensive line's not great. I don't know who's starting for them at running back. Who's his number one receiver? Yeah, what is Robert Saleh gonna do on that? Robert Saleh is a defensive guy. Let's not forget. It's not like he's an offensive guru, like the quarter guy out of Gase. So I don't know. I don't know what the Jets' plan is here. I think Wilson was a step in the right direction, but there are just still so many
young
unknowns.
Quarterback, draft young quarterback is always like going
but
to
they
be a
had a
step
young
in the right
quarterback on the
direction for a
roster.
trash team. Like
They had one
draft
on the
a
roster
cheaper
already.
draft a cheaper version of the quarterback we had previously, with higher risk potential. I don't know, man. It's just.
Yeah, like it's not bad, but I just don't know. Like, I don't know what to make of the Jets, frankly, because I look at them and say, Zach Wilson's good. Your defense was decent. You know, your offensive line could be good if you stay healthy, but you don't really have much on offense. I mean, who's his number one receiver? Robbie Anderson, who's a free
Not
agent?
even. No, he's in Carolina.
Not even. Carolina, gone. So, like,
it's
okay. Well, great.
Dude, it is.
Good.
It's just
Good
tough.
fucking luck, my guy. Good luck, my guy.
It's tough because this is we got. Andrew and I got a lot of shit in the comments for saying that this reminded us, like the Zach Wilson to New York thing reminded us a lot of the Josh Rosen pick for the Cardinals a few years back. We got a lot of shit in the comments for that. But if you look at the situations, they are very, very similar situations. A completely reconstructing team, a team that, doesn't have a lot to go off of. Bad offensive line, although they did draft, I think it was Slater later on in the first round. But even that, man, like that one person's not going to do it for you.
Elijah, right? No, it was Elijah something Everett.
Vera Tucker.
Vera Tucker. Sorry. So they drafted an offensive lineman, but how much is that actually going to help the total package? The defense is still in a complete rebuild mode. C.J. Mosley, who was your best player, like he hasn't played in like 3 years now since he was a Raven. Then you have the offense, which was bad enough when Sam Darnold was there, but now you're throwing this rookie into the fire with no one really as a stopgap. Like. Again,
Listen,
this is going to be, guys, when we say this is a Josh Rosen type pick, it's not because we hate Zach Wilson or we think, he's gonna, God damn it, pal, he sucks, he's gonna be the worst quarterback ever. No, it's because he went to the worst situation of all of these young quarterbacks, just like how Josh Rosen in 2018 went to the worst situation of all of those young quarterbacks. Like, the only thing you can say to salvage this idea of him being successful with the Jets is the coach that they got is actually a quality coach and a coach that a lot of people believe in, that can hopefully develop players in that defense fairly quickly, because that's what he's going to have to do. If he wants to give that rookie a chance, he's going to have to develop players in that defense quicker than anyone thinks, and he's going to have to somehow find a way to galvanize the rest of his team to play up to their potential. Because that's the only way you help this kid Zach Wilson stay in the NFL as a starter in his first 2 years. It's so important for his career, because we've seen what happened to Josh Rosen. We're seeing he is the practice squad quarterback of the San Francisco 49ers just 2 years after being drafted. That is a bad situation to be in, because who knows if the Jets go 2-15 next year, dude, they could be picking Rattler. They could be picking one of these other guys next year. Like, I'm so serious. So it's important for him, if he wants to keep his job, like to have that development, have that those pieces around him, and it's gonna be hard. I think it's gonna be a difficult year in New York, guys.
And it was great that you brought up the point about Saleh being a defensive guy, because as we've preached on this show time and time again, I mean, the formula, it's pretty simple. Now, there's obviously some moving parts to it, but the formula can be pretty simple. It's just you got a good defense and a good O-line. It doesn't matter who your quarterback is. You got a good defense and a good O-line with a quarterback who has a high ceiling. That's a pretty good mix, because at least
just like Josh Allen in Buffalo.
You got a good defense and a good O-line with the quarterback who's got a high ceiling. Exactly. You got a good defense with a good O-line. All of a sudden, you get, Josh Allen's a fucking MVP candidate year 2 or year 3. So I think that's what they're trying to build in New York. Like I'm saying, with the Jets, I mean, they fucked it up so many times, like time and time again. So I think it was good that they finally got a defensive guy in there, build that defense, develop those guys, hopefully get that defense in check. And then, they drafted O-line talent. That's what the biggest thing was. They drafted, it's not like they drafted no Eric Flowers. They didn't draft no Eric Flowers in here. They went and got Vera Tucker. They got Becton last year. Becton's going to be a multiple-time Pro Bowler. I mean, they're building that O-line. They gave him some semblance of a weapon. Listen, Tennessee, we didn't use Corey Davis the first couple of years. That's why people didn't know who he was. That's why people didn't know about him. I knew about him. So once we started using him, look, he got a big-ass contract. And I think Corey Davis is going to make his money, and he's going to help out Zach Wilson. And if he doesn't, you know what? Zach Wilson probably has a career in underwear modeling. So,
Oh, he's going to be like the next Abercrombie and Fitch model.
he looks it.
Him and Jimmy G can join the failed quarterbacks underwear models. J. Crew.
I'll tell you what. Jimmy G. I will tell you what. Jimmy G. If he were to start an OnlyFans, I think he could break Bad Baddie's record. She made $1 million a day. I think Jimmy G could make more in a day. I mean that too.
Well,
he doesn't
they
need
don't
the
call
money.
him. They don't call him porn star Jimmy for nothing.
He doesn't need the money. I'm just saying, if it was just based off a principle, I think he could do it.
I think, hey, Johnny, before we move on, I meant to get your opinion on this. I haven't asked you at all about this, I don't think. So, you're watching the draft. You're sitting there at what is number 11, right? Or number 10? Or I don't know, whenever he got drafted.
That was 12.
Okay, so you guys are sitting there and you're seeing Justin Fields fall. Is there any part of you that is, at that point, thinking, maybe we should just take a shot and go get this guy? Because that's a top level talent that's dropping almost right to us. You're a Giants fan, just so everyone knows. Was there a point where you were just like, let's just go get him? Fuck it.
Yeah, I think the Giants were in a really interesting spot with that pick because Fields fell to them, which allowed them to get that trade package from Chicago, which I think that besides the San Francisco trading up to 3 was probably the best haul out of this draft in terms of trades. It's interesting because Fields, once you make the pick itself nosedives in value, right? Once you pick a player, no matter who it is, you've put a name. You've suddenly gotten rid of the mystique of whether or not this is a pick versus now you have a specific person with actual pros and cons, actual strengths and weaknesses. And I think the idea of taking Fields and replacing Daniel Jones is intoxicating. But you mentioned, that there's a crop of quarterbacks coming out next year, headlined by Spencer Rattler. And, over the next few years, there should be a bunch of good quarterbacks that come out. From a team building perspective, to jump back to what Andrew was saying, I think that if you're a team that's not in a position to take a young quarterback, plug and play him, then it's not a good fit. Chicago is in a better spot to plug and play Justin Fields, and they don't even have to because they have Andy Dalton. I think the Giants are better off giving Daniel Jones one more year to let him develop, get extra draft picks to surround Daniel Jones with talent. And if next year turns out that Daniel Jones isn't the guy, you decline his option. You decline his final year option. You draft a quarterback in the first round, and you got trade value for the spot, as opposed to being stuck with Daniel Jones, who by that point is going to be untradeable because who the hell? Nobody wants Daniel Jones now.
Dude,
what are you going to trade Daniel Jones for? A 7th round pick?
Can we be real about
the Raiders? The Raiders might do it.
Okay, well, yeah.
But you got for that pick, the Giants got a 4th, a 5th, and a 1st. Just to move down.
I mean, the way you gauge it, right? The way you gauge it is if Daniel Jones today is a free agent. No, there's not a team in the league, not a single one that would sign him to be even a stopgap starter. You would think, he wouldn't even be the stopgap. He is backup and below. That is Daniel Jones' positioning amongst NFL quarterbacks. And again, part of it is because he was overrated coming out of college. Another part of it is he went to a bad situation. And again, he's just not that as talented as people thought he was, which is fine.
He's athletic, but it's what the issue is with Daniel Jones is he's intoxicating. He's athletic, he's got the arm, but it's just there's something, the game moves too quick for him. There's something about what's going on above the shoulders with Daniel Jones making reads, making progressions, staying strong in the pocket. There's just something about the decision making of Daniel Jones that makes his talent, which is is unquestionable. He's got athleticism, he's got arm, but I don't know what he's doing out there. His accuracy is not great. He's not a great deep ball thrower. Now he has weapons,
He's got
presumably he is an
Kadarius
offensive
Toney.
line.
That's all you guys needed. You guys are over the hump. 7
Hey,
and
hey,
9
hey.
or 7 and
Don't
10
hate
for the
on-
playoffs, baby.
Don't hate on Kenny Galladay. Don't hate on Kenny Galladay. That's a
I'm
bona
not
fide
hating on Kenny
stud.
Galladay. I'm
That's a
hating
bona
on
fide stud.
Kadarius fucking Toney at like
Well,
11th
they
or
were
12th
gonna-
overall. Like, come on.
They were gonna take what's his name to the Eagles before the Eagles moved up to the spot ahead and took him, the receiver. Because reports came out, they were real mad that the Eagles and Cowboys made that trade.
Oh, Devontae Smith.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Giants were set on taking Devontae Smith. I think this is supported by Schefter. But the Eagles.
Someone
and the
was going to
Cowboys
trade
swapped
up to
picks.
get him. So the fact that he felt that
yeah.
somebody was going to trade up to get. You shouldn't be mad at the Eagles. You should be mad at yourself for not trying to trade up earlier.
What did it for them was Jerry's guy, which was Patrick Surtain. Once he came off the board, that was it. Jerry was like, I'm not staying here.
Yeah, the dominoes fell after that. Like that was like he wanted to get out like immediately.
The draft boards were set. The Giants probably had their draft board fucking set, and then the minute Surtain came off the board, everything just.
Dude, the thing is it was so universal though that Surtain was going to the Cowboys. Like every single mock draft you saw Surtain, the Cowboys were actively like saying, we are drafting Patrick Surtain. It's like not even a question. He's going to fall to us. And like
Jerry already had the jerseys made up. Jerry's got to send them over to he's got to send them over to Uganda or something because he has no use for them.
Yeah. So on Daniel Jones, I think it was the best decision that you could have made in that moment because that pick has infinitely more trade value than Daniel Jones does. And I'm not sure we are in a position to maximize what Justin Fields has to offer. And so I'm willing to give
but
Daniel Jones one more
he
year.
could maximize what you guys have to offer in a big way.
But we'll see. We'll see. The book is still out on him. We don't know what Justin Fields is going to become.
Turns into a Hall of Famer. Johnny's just like,
hey, if he turns into a Hall of Famer.
Daniel Jones for years.
if Fields turns into a Hall of Famer, I don't know what to tell you. Everyone has question marks on Field. There's a reason that three other quarterbacks went ahead of him in the draft. I think he's a good.
You know what the reason is? You know what the reason? We broke that down. You know what the reason is? Oh, he does. His work ethic is lacking. Oh, he's not a leader. His IQ is low. It's the same bullshit we've heard about black quarterbacks for the past 50, 60, whatever years.
He's last in, first out.
And all of that was told. Like everyone who came out, all those sources that apparently said that, they all came out and said that's 100% false. Like if all you had to do is watch the games and you would know that Justin Fields was the unsung hero of that, or the leader of that team. Like it's not even a question. Like
I'm not disagreeing with any of that. I'm just saying that you literally can never know about rookie quarterbacks. That's all I'm saying.
I didn't.
You never know.
It was the Ohio State stigma.
I didn't.
It was the Ohio State stigma. He was suffering from the failed NFL careers of Cardell Jones and J.T. Barrett and Dewey Haskins.
I think that's true.
He was the victim. And fucking who was it? Years back, Terrell Pryor. He had to suffer, and his draft stock took a plummet because people were like, "What if we are getting another one of these guys?"
I think that's the real reason.
I think
I love Justin Fields.
Oh my God! When was the last time fucking
I was on this
or BYU
this
developed
podcast.
a great quarterback? Come on, BYU and Duke. Like, come on, man. Like this is it's bull. People just want to like. I'm not saying you guys are guilty or Johnny you are, but it's like these experts. They just want to just pick out these random details and say, oh well, this hurts him because he apparently was at this school. Instead of watching the goddamn film, you watch the goddamn film. It's not even a question. He was at least the second best quarterback.
Take it easy. Take it easy. I'm gonna backpedal. Take it easy. There are some schools that do more of a detriment to their players than they do good.
I'm not saying that's untrue, Andrew. I'm not saying that's untrue, but I'm saying it's selective. People like to do that selectively because sometimes the play on the field and the ability that is very clear to see overrides that, right? Because like you would agree with me with the Justin Fields thing. Like you can say that about a lot of quarterbacks from like where I don't know, like you say that about like quarterbacks from I don't know, enter school here, but like there's plenty of picks, like there's plenty of people like that who are just like good. You know that. Like LSU. When was the last time LSU developed like a great quarterback? Other than Joe Burrow. But when Joe Burrow was there, when Joe Burrow came out in the draft, He was the number 1 overall pick. It was not even a question. But you're telling me that Justin Fields, now he's got the stigma against him, right? Because like, but LSU never developed a great quarterback in recent memory.
No, but we were talking the same about Mac Jones in Alabama. That Alabama never develops good quarterbacks, and they always
that wasn't
are,
the narrative.
boys and men.
No, but that wasn't the narrative in NFL circles. You know what the narrative was? How the San Francisco 49ers are going to pick him 3rd overall. You know what the narrative was about Mac Jones? Oh, he's got the best IQ in the NFL of all these rookie quarterbacks. You know what the narrative was? He's got a great arm. Look at what he did with all the talent around him.
The other team's playbook. He could tell you, he can memorize your playbook and the other team's playbook. He can tell your defense what fucking play is coming because he has the other team's playbook memorized.
But what came out about Justin Fields was, he doesn't work hard enough. He doesn't have the football IQ. It's the same stereotypical tropes that we've seen that have tried to hurt black quarterbacks in the past. Like it was so obvious, dude. It was so obvious. Like, watch the damn games. Like, it's not that hard. I'm sorry, it's not that I do. Watch the damn games. It was so clear that he was the second best quarterback in that draft.
You're not going to get me to disagree with that. I'm on this podcast saying that I thought that he was the second best quarterback in this draft. I know it's been a while. Don't get me wrong here. Law school's a bitch. But I was on this podcast saying that I thought that he was the second best quarterback in this draft. Obviously, Trey Lance, also a black quarterback. He has only played 6, 7, 8, 9 games. He's a bit of a wild card. We don't really know what he's going to be. He's probably not going to start right away. I think the Niners are going to keep Garoppolo. But in terms of the Giants, like to return back to where we were, in terms of the Giants, I didn't think that Justin Fields was as good of a fit as he was in Chicago. I think personally that Justin Fields can walk into Chicago, beat out Andy Dalton for that job, and lead them to the playoffs. That he could be what Russell Wilson was for the Seahawks right away, because they have a team that in place, their defense is elite, their offensive line is good, they have offensive weapons around him, and all they need is a dynamic playmaker at the quarterback position, which is the shot in the arm that Russell Wilson gave the Seahawks to lead them to 2 Super Bowl appearances and 1 title. I think that the same can be said of Justin Fields and the Chicago Bears. So we'll see how that works out for them. But if you're putting Wilson, if you're putting Fields on the Giants, I don't think that it works the same way. I don't think that the infrastructure is there. I don't think that the team is good enough to make his strengths pop. And I think that if his strengths aren't going to pop, you're looking at more RG3 with the Washington football team than you are, or a Marcus Mariota with the Titans than you are Russell Wilson with the Seahawks.
First
off, shaking his head already.
Because that was listen, Jeff Fisher was the poster child of the 7-9 season, the 9-7 season. It is. We've been on the record.
Wait, that wasn't Jeff Fisher who ruined Marcus Mariota's career. That was Vrabel. That was Vrabel.
It was Malarkey.
It was Vrabel.
But
no, Malarkey. What do you mean Malarkey? What do you mean Malarkey? You guys won a playoff game with Malarkey. Come on now.
It was more the organization. Listen, how many times?
Malarkey. No. Mariota had one of his best seasons ever as a pro or college.
He caught his own pass for a touchdown.
And then Malarkey got fired after you guys won a playoff game, and then Vrabel came in and then used Mariota in the worst possible way you could use him, and then moved on to Ryan Tannehill. That's what happened in that situation. You can't deny that. That's like you just had to pay attention to what was going on.
With the Titans, we are historically known for just taking a talented quarterback and just running him into the ground. Everybody that's not named Steve McNair, we just take them. Doesn't matter how talented they are. And as I told you before, I think I've said this on the show actually. I don't think when we had those 90s teams and those early 2000s teams that were winning 13 games and, we're going to AFC championships, team that went to the Super Bowl, I'm telling you, I don't think Jeff Fisher did any coaching. Because if you don't have a coach who's calling plays, I'm telling you, I think McNair called his own plays. And if you don't have a coach as the motivator, which I think Eddie George was the motivator, I think Jeff was just the figurehead. I think he was just there for show, to smile at the camera and to yell at refs and call the occasional timeout. And that was about it. I don't know how many times how many documentaries are that literally highlight the same shit over and over again, how we ruined Vince Young. Now, Vince Young has admitted, it was partially his fault, but I mean, it was also a lot the Titans' fault. You heard the Chris Johnson interview where he literally said, we just got done losing to the Dolphins and Jeff let us stay a day later in Miami and we all missed the flight and then we all got fined. You remember that. It was Chris Johnson literally told the story. And I'm like, wow, he's letting a rookie quarterback do this after a loss. No wonder his career didn't go nowhere. So we're very good at ruining quarterbacks. Yeah, but with the Danny Dimes thing, we'll see how Danny Dimes does because I was not high on the pick initially.
I got a question for you, Johnny. Last thing, and then we can move on to what we got scheduled, right? Daniel Jones. Okay, let's say Daniel Jones puts up similar to, or like similar or even slightly better statistics next year, but you guys missed the playoffs again, fledgling, whatever, 7-10 or whatever it is, right?
6,000 passing yards.
Is Daniel Jones a bust?
Well, so here's the thing. I think that two things are important here. It's one that it's going to be on the record, right? If the Giants finish 7-10, it doesn't matter if Daniel Jones threw for 10,000 passing yards. He's not going to stay, right? If the Giants are bad again, they expect to be the division winners next season, right? The Giants fully expect are going into that's why Dave Gettleman made that trade. That is the first time in all of Dave Gettleman's years being a GM that he has traded down. He always trades up, never trades down. Wheeling and dealing Dave never trades down. But he made that trade because his job is on the line, right?
Oh, yeah.
And if he gets fired, Joe Judge won't last very long, right? So everyone's job is on the line. The Maras are putting the feet to the fire here. It's time to see some results after missing out in the playoffs when they should have made it last season. And I'm not saying they should have made it because of week 17. I'm saying they should have made it.
We're
because they
6-10. How dare we not make the playoffs?
I'm saying that they should have won at least 3 more games. That they had at least 3 more games in hand.
You guys almost beat Tampa Bay on Monday night. I remember that game.
Yeah.
How many winnable games? Realistic winnable games?
No,
dude, if you're talking about winnable games, 11 or 12 winnable games.
They legitimately went toe-to-toe with Tampa Bay. I think they were a drop pass away from winning that game.
Yeah.
On Monday night.
Yeah, no, they were close. It's the Tampa game and the Eagles game, first Eagles game, are the ones that
I remember that
are the ones that really stood out as the ones that good teams win those games. You want to make the playoffs, you got to win those games. They didn't win those games, they didn't make the playoffs. So that's it. It's pretty simple. But they have to make the playoffs. Daniel, that's the first thing is they have to make the playoffs. If they don't make the playoffs, Gettleman's gone, Jones is gone, and Judge might be gone too. And so that's the first thing. The second thing is he has to show more than just flashes. We got this, that 80-yard run where it got overshadowed because he tripped at the end, which everyone deserves to laugh at that. That shit was hilarious. But we need more of that, right? I don't want to sit here and parse through, hours and hours and hours of Daniel Jones, throwing at receivers' feet and overthrowing guys open in the flat. I don't want to parse through hours and hours and hours of that to say, oh, well, he hit this guy on a button screen with a laser beam pass. Show me every down that you can go through your progressions, that you can make a read, that you can look off the safety, that you can throw down the field, that you can check down to your running back. I get it. Saquon got hurt. They didn't have a lot of great receivers. Somehow fucking Evan Ingram made the Pro Bowl despite having the worst hands of any tight end I've ever watched.
He's a future Titan, by the way.
I bet he is. I bet he's going to drop a lot of passes for you guys one day. And he drops a lot of passes for us now. And I need to see it. I need to see it at Daniel Jones. I've seen a little bit, but it's got to be consistent. He's got a good team now. He's got players around him. I've run out of excuses. For Daniel Jones. I've given him lots in the past. They're well documented on this podcast. Our subscribers know. They're very aware of my affinity for Daniel Jones. But I am telling you right now that I am out of excuses for Daniel Jones. It is put up or shut up time. And I personally think he is capable of it. But will he do it? That's another question. If he doesn't, I think you really got to look at quarterbacks in the draft. I think that we're entering a new era of NFL football where competent quarterbacks are available in the free agent market in ways that we've maybe never seen before. But I think that, through those two avenues, you explore other options if Daniel Jones doesn't get it done. Because other than Daniel Jones, the Giants are a playoff team. They've got a good defense. They've got a decent offensive line. They've got a lot of skill players. There's no reason why that Giants team can't kick the shit out of the NFC East. There's no reason, but if they don't do it, whose fault is it?
Not yours and not anyone else's who's watching this podcast right now.
One more question. Just one more
Andrew,
question.
I'm plugging the podcast. Wait.
Okay.
See now you ruined you ruined the transition. Go ahead, say what you were gonna say.
I apologize. I just wanted to Johnny, real quick, since we finally have you here, real quick, I can ask you this. Do you think, for the sake of football, do you think this is no disrespect to Carrie Underwood, but do you think we should bring Faith Hill back to Sunday Night Football?
I'm all about going to the old school. I think that we're needing to circle back in all sports. We're needing to circle back to the mid early 2000s, maybe a nice late 90s vibe. I'm thinking that anything that takes us back and maybe canning Joe Buck for just literally anybody else too.
Well, of course. We have been petitioning for years to get Joe Buck off the air. I don't know why they haven't done it yet. I don't know what dirt he has on the CEO of Fox. He must have some pictures. I don't know. I've been petitioning to get him kicked out of everything for years. But
it's funny because I've actually softened on his baseball coverage. I actually think he's pretty decent at the baseball coverage.
I can't. He orgasms whenever the Cardinals win. I can't. I'm sorry. I have a vendetta.
Well, it's a good thing it's been a while since the Cardinals have won anything.
Let's hope it stays that way.
What an expression right there. He orgasms whenever the Cardinals win.
He does.
He's not wrong. His best World Series calls were the Cardinals like big performances. Like I still have the David Freese moments in my head. Like that game, what was it? Like Game 6 where David Freese hit a walk off homer to the grass field in center field. Like I still have that memory. That's like his best call. And I watched him, botch Mets calls in 2015. And I watched all the World Series, but he's not a great broadcaster. His calls are not, his iconic calls are not interesting. Bring me Vince Scully
iconic
back.
calls does he have? You mean the Super Bowl one? He's in. Patriots win the Super Bowl. Diggs sideline touchdown. He doesn't say anything. There's nothing exciting comes out of his mouth. Come on. He's not even a good play-by-play guy. He can't even tell me what's going on correctly sometimes.
This is why we need Nance and Romo. I need Romo to tell me when Tom Brady lines up in the Super Bowl. I need Nance to set him up, and I need fucking Tony Romo to tell me exactly what fucking play is about to be run before it's run, so that I know when Mahomes gets sacked, I know for a fact somebody on the O-line or one of the wideouts fucked up. I need Tony to tell me what the fuck.
I'm just gonna go to an old Faith Hill quote. Al and Chris are the best on TV. That much we know.
Much we know.
And you know what else we know? We know that everyone. Oh my God, Andrew keeps doing this. We know that anyone who's listening right now should like, share, and subscribe to the channel. We got daily videos on this channel every single day. We got tonight. We got Real Take Sports Talk. Tomorrow night, Real Take Wrestle Talk, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time with Trevor. We're going to be breaking down Blood and Guts, everything, the fallout from that. We're also going to be breaking down previews for WrestleMania Backlash. A lot of stuff to do with that. More Sports Revisited coming up later on next week. And a whole bunch of other content that I am too panicked about to say right now. But it's going to be on there. Subscribe. Hit that notification bell as well. Johnny, the floor is yours.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hit those subscribe and like buttons. We stay in New York with our New York Mets. 2 out of 3 of us love these New York Mets, so I guess that makes them ours. Ace. Best pitcher in the world. Maybe best pitcher in baseball history. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe best pitcher ever. I mean, maybe he's trending that way.
But right now he is not doing any pitching. He exits his start against the Arizona Diamondbacks in the 5th inning after weaving another gem with right side tightness. It is different then the oblique strain that kept him out of a start against the Cardinals that was eventually actually rained out. So he will be missing at least 10 games as he's put on the 10-day IL. Trouble in New York. The Mets pitching has been good. Aside from Degrom, the only major hiccups have been two bad starts from David Peterson and Joey Lucchese's, excuse me. Joey Lucchese's, hey, it begins with J. His ERA north of 12. His ERA north of 12. So, the Mets pitching has been decent. You'll see Lucchese, maybe a Jordan Yamamoto, who started 32 games for the Marlins just 2 seasons ago, back in 2019. I think if you're going to get hurt, now is the time to be hurt. Jacob Degrom has shown that nothing will stop him from being the best pitcher in baseball other than a Mickey Mouse season, giving his Cy Young to Trevor Bauer. And I'm not concerned about this. My concern level is a 0. The Mets are 13-2 when they score more than 4 runs. And now that, Donnie Stevenson has been outed as Pete Alonso, I am not concerned in the slightest. I think the Mets will keep on rolling. DeGrom will step back feeling healthy, and they'll be able to weather his absence with no issues.
And I just think one of the biggest things also that, Packy's finally hitting. We made the trade. We bought in Packy from Cleveland. Great shortstop, great with the glove, ball skills, tremendous. Probably the best defensive shortstop in baseball, but we need this man to hit, and he's finally hitting. That's the key. If Packy hits, this team will win. You just said, man, 4 runs. And basically, if we score more than 4 runs, we're not losing games. The way this lineup is constructed, there's no way this lineup should be – we should be averaging at least 6 runs a game. At least 6 runs a game. With the way this lineup is constructed and the type of talent up and down this lineup, there's no reason why they shouldn't be scoring. Even when fucking Degrom is in the lineup, when Degrom is in the lineup, they should be scoring more because Degrom is good for at least 2. He's good for at least 2 by himself when he's hitting. That means everybody else.
Best hitting pitcher in baseball.
He's the best hitting pitcher in baseball. Honestly, I would before this injury.
Shohei, let's give Shohei his respect.
He's okay. I will give Shohei his respect until Shohei tears his arm 2 months from now. But you know what's going to happen. It happens every season. It's going to happen. I like what I see from this team though. DeGrom, right. It's better that it's happening now than it's happening. If this was happening in September, I would be shitting bricks. But the fact that it's happening right now, it's perfect timing. The team gets to, we get to back on track. We kind of get to see what this team is made of without DeGrom. Because, I think DeGrom is like the safety blanket. The team kind of, when they're in the batter's box, they kind of, they take a day off from hitting because they think like, we only got to score 1 because he's not going to let them score any. And then, once they end up scoring run on some bullshit, somebody makes an error, and then they give up a run. And it's like, well, fuck. Now we're gonna get shut out unless he put some runs on the board. So I think this is good. They're going to sense of urgency and. I think they're going to start hitting, but I do like what I'm seeing. Packy's finally hitting, so shout out to Team Puerto Rico. And we need Packy to hit. If Packy hits, there's no reason why we can't win this division and probably be the favorite to win the whole thing. I mean, listen, if there's one thing that history says, the Dodgers are the favorite to win the National League, unless they play the Mets. We are the buzzsaw. They don't beat us, whether it's 2015, 2006, 2000, 1999. It doesn't matter. When they run into us, it does. Their season's over, and they know it.
Yeah, I'm in total agreement. I'm definitely pro Jeff McNeil and Francisco Lindor fighting in the in the dugout. I don't know if y'all are buying the rat raccoon nonsense.
Oh no!
But hey, man. Hey man, fisticuff between boys. Who is not getting into fight with the boys every once in a while? Sometimes you just got to square it up to settle your differences, and it happens on live TV in the middle of a game. It just is what it is.
Or on a podcast.
Or a podcast. So I'm all about it. If it means that they're hitting, that's fine by me. Hit each other, then go hit baseballs. The '86 Mets won a title. They hated each other, and they did a shit ton of cocaine. So if that's what it takes, win me a title. I don't care. Doesn't matter to me. Just go out and play some baseball. And, this doesn't register much.
Real Take Sports ENT does not condone the latter part of that previous statement.
Yeah, we do. We do.
No,
I
Andrew Hohenstein does not speak for Real Take Sports ENT.
So it's precautionary. If it was, the MRI came back clean. That's what I cared about. If they're, giving him 2 starts off just to make sure that he can, recover, fine. I'm all about it. But because the MRI came back clean, this doesn't register with me. I don't mind giving Lucchesi or Yamamoto 2 starts. I'm waiting on Cookie Carrasco to come on back. We got Thor waiting in the wings. The Mets have plenty of pitching depth to get through this. The bullpen's been fire. And as long as the game ends with Timmy Trumpet and Edwin Diaz, then I don't give a fuck.
No, I'm telling you, and that's the biggest thing too. Is I don't think people realize that before Edwin came, Edwin was a stud in Seattle. Everybody knew that. Edwin was arguably one of the best closers, probably the best closer in baseball when he was in Seattle. Then he comes to New York, and I don't know why, for some fucked up reason, he changes his entrance song. Now, baseball is a game of retaliation, and baseball is also a game of superstition. And one thing you don't do, you do not fuck with you don't fuck with the energy out in the universe. You don't do that. So he changed his song. He came here and he was fucking atrocious. People were like, what the fuck? This guy sucks. Get this guy out of here. And we were actually 2 years ago, we were petitioning. There were people petitioning on Twitter with the New York Mets to have him change his song back to Timmy Trump, back to Narco. We wanted Narco and we wanted Azuquita by Steve Aoki. We wanted him to change it back because we knew that's the only way we were going to get prime Edwin. And when he did, now we're getting Edwin 100 miles an hour, 101. He's blowing guys away with his fastball, his slider. That's all he's got. But still, he's blowing guys away. Harper, do you remember the game against Philly when he blew Harper away with that 101-mile-an-hour fastball? That's the fucking Edwin we need to see. And the only way we're going to get that is he cannot fuck around with his entrance song. I'm telling you, man, it's all about the song. Baseball, it's all about the song placement. It's all about the song placement. That's a major part of baseball. So we're hoping Edwin doesn't decide to fuck around with the song anymore. I think Big Steve had a lot to do with it. I think Big Steve, because Big Steve is an analytical guy, Big Steve did go back in. He went back to the archives and he saw, hey, man, listen, I'm your boss now. I saw you did the best. You had your best years career-wise when these were your entrance songs. As you know, the song placement is a very big part of this game. Let's try this. Edwin obliged, and now he's a stud again. So I'm happy to see it. And knowing that we get the Edwin as that stud out of the back end of the bullpen, that's perfect because, as you know, starting pitching and your bullpen can either make or fucking break every game you're in. And if your bullpen can hold down the fort after your studs give you gems of a start, and your studs know that they can come out and they can hand the ball off to a guy like Castro who's going to get 3, going to get 6 outs, and then Edwin's going to come in to Timmy Trumpet and strike everybody out with his 101-mile-an-hour fastball. That's what the fuck I like to see. And once again, another reason why the New York Mets, if they start hitting, should be the favorite to win the division. And once they get to the playoffs, knock off the Dodgers. I pray the Cardinals don't get there because we don't do good with them, but praying we don't see the Cardinals, we should get to the World Series and probably win it.
And if you want Andrew and Johnny to do a Real Take Mets Talk podcast, be sure to hit that like button.
We could go all day about this. And because we could go all day about this.
I can't put money on the Mets. The minute I start betting money on this team, I will send this team. It's like fucking stocks, dude. The minute I start putting money in, I will send them they will drop like fucking Doge if the minute I put money on them.
Too soon, bro. Too soon. Too soon. That
just so everybody knows, Andrew lives in New Jersey and it is legal here. But because we can talk about the Mets all day long, we will move on to the National Basketball Association. Before we do, just a reminder, make sure you look down, hit that like and subscribe button down below. That's how we make our money. We don't actually make any money, but if we did, that's how we would do it. So, Dame recognizes game in the NBA. Damian Lillard called Steph Curry the greatest shooter of all time. I believe there was a stat the other day that Steph is closing in on Ray Allen's three-point shooting regular season records. And he's only played 600 less games than Ray Allen. No big deal. No big deal at all. Lillard said, and I quote, Steph has 2 MVPs, a unanimous MVP, back-to-back titles, 3 total titles. The resume is there. So I think if you ask 10 people, 7 of them or 8 of them would probably come back and say Steph is right behind Magic in the way he has changed the game and the excitement with his style of play. Guys, how right is Damian Lillard? Because I don't think there's any room to say he's wrong. What do we think? What are our thoughts on this, Omer?
I mean, it's true. Steph Curry is the greatest shooter of all time. Like the stat you mentioned, like he's like whatever 600 games behind Ray Allen as far as games played, and like he's already surpassed. Like the dude is the greatest. Like he's done it faster than anyone. He's revolutionized the game. Honestly, though, in the way and the manner and the frequency of 3-point shooting we're seeing, when you pull up from like half court, like 5 whatever years from now, people are gonna be saying Curry, like Chef Curry, like that's what it's all about. So I think it's 100% true, and the fact that it's coming from Damian Lillard, I think speaks volumes, because Damian Lillard is also someone who is thought to be one of the best sharpshooters in the history of the game, or even in our generation. Some people still argue that he might be the best pound for pound, but it's Steph Curry. Like he is, like I said, he's revolutionized the game. He's like the Splash Bros. They completely changed the way defenses even defend in the NBA. Like they force people to defend the perimeter way more, or they should force them to defend perimeter. They still don't do it a lot of times. But regardless, I think the fact that it's coming from Damian Lillard speaks even bigger volumes. I know there's a lot of people who were unhappy about that. Ironically, a lot of Damian Lillard fans were unhappy with Dame coming out and saying this. They're like, "Oh no, you don't understand. Like Damian Lillard, you're still the best of all time." Like, okay, Damian. This is no disrespect for Damian Lillard. He might go down as one of the best shooters ever, right? He also might go down as one of the best shooters ever. But we're talking about best. We're talking about greatest shooters ever. It's Steph Curry. He's
Yeah.
It's no debate.
So I have the stat. Steph sits at 2,733s behind Ray Allen's number 1 record, 2,973. Let's keep in mind that 4 of the 5 highest 3-point shooting seasons in terms of threes made, right, are Steph Curry's. The 5th that isn't Steph Curry is Klay Thompson's. And the final thing to keep in mind is that Steph has over 300 threes this season alone, under 70 games, right? And at this point, in a season that 82 games, imagine if he played 80 games this season, he could have 350 threes. We're talking about a guy, if he stays healthy and plays 80 games next season, could maybe hit 400 threes. Could be the first player to get over 3,000 threes. He will easily be the first player to ever get 3,000 threes. He might be the only player to ever get 4,000 threes. And even with the ridiculous pace that 3-point shots are being made, nobody makes them. Not even Dame. Nobody makes them like Steph Curry. Not Dame, not Trae Young, not Klay Thompson, not any other shooter that you can think of makes threes like Steph Curry. In an era where the 3-pointer is king, Steph Curry is God.
So, yeah, I think when it comes to Dame, I think Dame is correct. Steph is the best 3-point shooter ever, greatest 3-point shooter ever. In comparison to Dame, it's more like what you have to ask, I think Steph is a better shooter. I think Dame is a better, he's what they call he's cold, meaning like Dame will Steph will come down, Steph will hit 12 threes in a game, and he'll shimmy and shit. Dame is the kind of guy where he will come down, grab the rebound, fucking stand at half court, stare down his defender before pulling from fucking half court 40 feet to shoot a shot to send a team home. That's what Dame does. That's what he's always done. I see if you could pull up a stat though. Who has more career dunks between Damian Lillard and?
But that's not okay. I mean, look, I think Dame might have that, but that's not what the topic is. Like Damian Lillard called Steph Curry the greatest shooter of all time.
And I think he is. And listen,
Dame was an athlete.
It means something
Dame
coming
was
from
an
Steph.
athlete back in his younger days.
It means something coming from Steph. If it was like LaFraud, if it was, a guy who's not exactly a shooter, if it was LaFraud, I would not take it as serious because I don't know if LaFraud actually knows what a good shot is. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if he knows.
I do not know what you're saying.
LaFraud?
Oh my God, he's talking about LeBron.
We are not going down that road today. We are not going down that road today.
I just think Dame is more of an authority when it comes to shooting 3-pointers than LaFraud is. And rightfully
That's
so.
fine, but I don't know what rent space LeBron is currently occupying in your head that you had to bring him in here.
Well, the fact
on a completely unrelated.
It's the same. It's the same. He has a timeshare with Skip Bayless's rent space.
It's the fact that on the topic of Steph, because the Lakers now sit in the 7th seed, which means the Lakers will have to play in the play-in tournament if the season were to end today. And the way that it's looking, the Knicks, we're probably going to beat them tomorrow. So they're going to keep sliding potentially into the 8th spot. Listen, the Lakers are a Steph Curry 50-piece away from going home. So keep that in mind.
That's just that's not a hop, skip, and a jump. That's like a chartered flight across the country, across the fucking globe to get to that point. But sure. LeBron reportedly will return for his game against the Knicks. And if not, Friday against Indiana. AD just dropped 40 in a dub yesterday for the Lakers on national television. So I guess it wasn't on national television, but it was against the number one in the West. Yeah, but it was on number one in the West, the Suns. A good defensive team, an elite team all around, do a lot of great things. They got some good bigs over there. AD dropped a 40-piece, his first game looking like AD again. So I think the Lakers will be just fine. Losing that game against the Trailblazers, giving the Trailblazers the tiebreaker is definitely a tough one. But I think the Lakers will avoid the play-in. I think Dame might have to send Steph home.
No.
Which will make for some interesting TV. But I don't think LeBron has anything to do with this here.
Literally, I went out of my way not to put LeBron in the show, and we this is like I think this is 25 straight episodes where Andrew has mentioned LeBron.
Yeah, LeBron doesn't really have anything to do with this, but we can give Steph his flowers, call him easily, without contest, the best 3-point shooter of all time. Dame, by when it's all said and done, might end up pretty high on that list too. So we'll see. It's
going to be hard for him to catch.
For sure, though. One thing we could say for sure, that Draymond Green is not the best defensive player all time.
No, he is not.
Yeah, I think that's yeah. He's still a very good, dare I say, great defensive player. He's not the greatest of all time, though. And that's fine. Here's the thing: it's not all or nothing. Sports are and this shit is not all or nothing. It's like these. This is why you don't bring up LeBron, man. This is because you guys act as if it's. I'm sorry, but you LeBron haters and even the LeBron simps out there act like it's an all or nothing type of game. LeBron either has to be the greatest of all time, or he's like one of the worst players or most overrated players in NBA history. Dude, LeBron can fuck off. He can be he can be a top 5 player. We all agree, LeBron all time top 5 player. It's fine. It's okay for you to swallow your pride, whether you like LeBron, whether you don't, and just agree on that. And all this bullshit about he'll never catch Jordan or he's already caught Jordan. All this bullshit, dude. Just stop it. Stop it. That's the thing. I remember. And I don't mean to bring it up as a dick, but I remember when Kobe died. What was everyone talking about? We were talking about what? We were talking about how, sometimes we need to take a step back and just, admire greatness for what it is. Appreciate greatness instead of constantly debating about it all the time. We can have conversations where we debate about whether or not LeBron's great, and that's fine. We can do that. But when we start to focus in on that, and that's the entire conversation, and that's all people ever talk about, that's when it becomes toxic, and that's what. Honestly, but that's what I think is honestly what people hate the most about sports. In small doses, this kind of stuff is good, but in the larger scheme of things, I don't think it is. Not my 2 cents.
In the larger scheme of things, it's very annoying. So In that note, we will
Love
jump
you, Andrew.
back.
Love you.
We do
Andrew,
love you,
by the way.
Andrew. It is not about you, and it is not your fault.
Is this is like about the whole bigger toxic thing? Like ESPN really started this. Like they are to blame for this. Like all their sports talk shows, all their debate shows. Like this whole debate thing is kind of like it's made sports way more toxic than it should be. By the way, be sure to like and subscribe to our sports debate show that appears every single week. Right?
We are not first. We are not First Take, but we try really hard to be First Take, even down to the banners and the name.
Hey, we're better than First Take. I don't think
we're way better than First Take.
I don't think we would run ESPN's ratings into the ground the way they did, but
hey yo.
Hey man,
they say
if
they
I could
keep
run
it afloat. I say the opposite. I think Greeny keeps it afloat, but
barely.
If we could run,
barely.
we could run ESPN's ratings into the ground and then get paid millions of dollars to be the face of their operation, we would too. Shout out to my boy
I'm telling
Stephen
you,
A.
the problem was when they got rid of Poppy. When they got rid of Poppy and they got rid of Levitard. That was
dude. What do you mean? That happened last year. The real problem was when they made every single show First Take. That was a real problem. You want to talk about the root of the problem was when First Take used to be a pretty good show. It used to, because what they would do is it would be kind of half of it would be like a real sports news / interview type of thing. Like they had I forgot her name. Was it Dana Jacobson?
And it was Carrie Champion.
No. I'm talking about even before that, dude. I'm talking about I'm talking about 2011, 2010. Like, remember they had like Dana Jacobson. They had Crawford, I think was his name.
Chris Broussard.
Chris Bruce. They might have had Chris Broussard, but even he came later on. I'm talking about, dude, when it was half an interview / news reporting segment, and then they had First and 10 or First Down, like, which was its own segment, like First Take, like part, like half of the show with Stephen A. and Skip Bayless, and then they would have like other people come on and debate. When they got rid of the news parts on there, when ESPN started diverting away from reporting sports news and showing sports highlights and just entirely focusing on debates, that's what's ruined a lot of sports talk and sports commentary, because now everything is commentary. Very similar to what's happened in news. There's no real place really to get news, to get sports news, whatever. Everything is saturated with commentary. That's all you get, because people apparently can't think for themselves. They have to think black and white with how you're telling them. It's either it's all or nothing this or all or nothing that, or here's my debate take about this, and I'm not really being real. I'm just like telling you how you think I want to feel. Like it's all bullshit. And I think we honestly need to rein everything in. Like, look, we're sports commentary. We're not news. None of us are journalists. It's not our job to be like, have journalistic integrity. Maybe one day it will be. Who knows? But again, when you're ESPN and you're supposed to be sports news, that's supposed to be your thing, maybe do a little bit more of that and your ratings wouldn't be plummeting.
You know what we really need? We need more Scott Van Pelt and more Kevin Agandi. That's what we need.
Yeah.
And they got to bring Will
Kevin
Kane
Agandi,
back.
by the way.
And they got to bring Will Kane back.
He's never coming back. Not after what he's done. He's never coming back after what he just. The past few months have been. It's terrible for his reputation. He's never coming back. Oof.
Will Kane is a dumpster fire on the Titanic sinking in the
Dude,
ocean.
I mean,
there's one thing about Will Kane.
How quickly he sold out, though. How quickly he sold out.
Easy.
Any semblance of views he had. Like,
white man with gelled hair gets a bag. That's when the true colors come out. He didn't sell out. He just became his real self. He
became Clay Travis.
He dropped the persona. Well, he dropped the persona. Right? Is you got to put on the persona. You go on, you talk sports. You do all that fun stuff. But once white man with gels hair gets bag, then you realize, oh shit, man, I like my taxes low, and I'm not even gonna rip the Republicans right now. I'm not even gonna go down that road.
Not that show.
It's not that show. It's not even worth it. But he showed his true colors,
right,
doing what he's been doing, and that's fine. He does him. He got his money, and that's great for him. But I don't got to hear him anymore. Nick Wrong. Nick Wrong is headed down that path too. And I wanted to like Nick Wright, but it is what it is. I can't with some of these
when they got rid of Chris Carter, that's when that show started.
When they got rid of any semblance of credibility on that show, yeah. That's the other thing. They're just sometimes they're firing the best parts of the team on these shows, and it just again, you just don't know they don't know what's good for them. They just
now Cowherd did help himself. When Cowherd bought on Joy Taylor, he definitely helped himself with that one. I do I do
Oh,
like.
Joe
I don't know if there's
Taylor's
a,
Joe Taylor.
Joe
I
Taylor's
don't know if
fine.
there's any help in Colin Cowherd. I don't know if
Look,
there's any helping him.
yeah, okay, look, what he did was
He
pretty
occasionally
bad.
has AJ Hawk come on the show. I mean,
What
that
he did was
helps.
pretty bad, but I think we can objectively say though, Colin Cowherd has not changed since that incident, right? He's always been the same guy. He's always been the
Yeah,
same.
but he's always been terrible. That maybe if you're terrible, you should change.
Maybe.
Maybe.
That's just that's a thought. Anyway, speaking of change or lack thereof, back to the Packers we go. Ian Rappaport of NFL Network reported that the Packers have offered Aaron Rodgers a significant long-term contract extension, and he has yet to return with an accept or denial. Guys, we talked a bit about the Packers earlier. From a Rodgers perspective, should he accept his contract offer? Should he be looking to move forward? What is the best move for Aaron Rodgers' career? Omer, tell me.
Well, I mean, I think the fact that they're making this significant offer apparently it shows you that they're getting desperate, because this was a team that contract discussions with Aaron Rodgers and the Packers broke down just a few months ago. And that's kind of what led. I think that was like the hump that broke the camel's back, so to speak, or the straw, whatever. I think that's what kind of led to this whole thing falling apart. And Aaron Rodgers reportedly wanting to get out, and because there's been a few things, whether it was a Jordan Love thing, whether it was not trusting him in the NFC Championship game to win, whether it was not making roster moves for the past 10 years to help him win. I think he went to the Packers expecting a contract extension in earlier this offseason, and those talks completely broke down because apparently the Packers were lukewarm on an extension. I think that's what was kind of like Aaron Rodgers said, okay, I'm out. And then the second we heard that, the Packers are like, okay, we gotta get control of the situation. Aaron, you have the kitchen sink. But you gotta think at this point, man, it might be too late, because I think Aaron Rodgers is at a point in his life, not even as a player, but in his life, where he's just overplaying these games. I think Rodgers at this point, he wants to just focus on winning a Super Bowl, winning another Super Bowl, to have that to hang his hat on for his NFL career, and then move on doing whatever he does. And look, he could play till he's 45. He's talked about that as well. I'm not saying he's going to retire tomorrow, but I think the goal with Rodgers is to win. And I think with the Packers, he's been, a lot of it has been he's won out of spite. He's won, not because of what they've done around him, but because of what he's done with the sometimes lack of pieces there are around him. Now, Aaron Jones, damn good player. Yeah, he has Devontae Adams, another damn good player. They have some talent around him, but it's just defensively they haven't been good. The play calling in the NFC Championship game was a huge thing. Like that cannot be understated. That is fourth and goal in the end with a trip to the Super Bowl on the line, last few minutes of the fourth quarter. You don't trust your Hall of Fame reigning MVP quarterback to go out there and at least make an attempt to get into the end zone and win the game? Instead, you're going to hang your hat on the defense that's been getting blown by blown coverage all day, and Tom Brady's been ripping apart? Like, come on. Like, if I was Aaron Rodgers at that point in my career, I wouldn't trust them either. So I think it's gotten to a point. Look, they could offer him everything. I think Aaron Rodgers at the end of the day, man, like I think he'll just say, guys, stop it, trade me, I'm done. And I think at the end of the day, they're gonna have to honor that, because you can't have that around.
Yeah, I think it's interesting the point you make about the play call. To me, I think that sticks out much more than the Jordan Love situation ever could. I think at the end of the day, that disrespect is kind of a microcosm of what he's experienced. He looks at, and I know this has been a major talking point on various networks. You look at what Brady has in Tampa Bay, how they tried to surround him with weapons, what the Saints have done these last few years with Drew Brees trying to surround him with weapons, right? And I think that you look at the Packers, who say, well, we have Aaron Rodgers. We're going to try to build a defense, and it's going to be fine, right? And the defense hasn't been good. It hasn't been good since, maybe their one title season, right? It really hasn't. And I think that you look at Green Bay and you say quarterbacks like Aaron Rodgers, these Hall of Famers, these guys can play into their mid 40s. If he keeps his body in order and then arm in check, then he's going to play until he's 45 if he wants to. Aaron Rodgers has the ability, athleticism, skill, and IQ to play until he's 45 and be an above average to well above average to possibly elite quarterback. And to me, that's why I have no problem giving him 4 or 5 years and moving on with my life, right? If the issue is, I've heard that the issue is, well, you can't give a guy like him, 25% of your cap and you hamstring your team from a team building standpoint. Well, then what's the significant part of the offer?
You can't give him 25% of your cap, but you can give him 90% of the responsibility for you guys making the NFC Championship game every year? Like, come on.
Yeah. So I don't know. If you're making significant long-term offers, then to me, you have to throw out that talking point about you can't give him a certain percentage of your cap and it hamstrings the team from a team building standpoint. Build around him. Draft young offensive talent. It's that simple. You draft young offensive talent, receivers who can catch the ball, running backs who can make plays, linemen who can block. That's it.
They drafted young offensive talent last year, though. How'd that work out for him?
Not very well. Not very well. When you draft a quarterback, when you have a quarterback, it doesn't – he's not Taysom Hill. He's not playing fullback. It's just – I don't know. Honestly, if I knew how to fix the Green Bay Packers, I'd give them a call and tell them to hire me. But I don't have the answer. It's in the past, we blamed McCarthy and play calling, but he's not there anymore. We've blamed, team building and a bad defense, but their defensive ratings have been up and down. We've blamed Rodgers and not being able to make that play, but they took it out of his hands last year. So I'm out of excuses. I'm out of excuses for the things that the Packers do. At some point, I think you say management's dropped the ball on how they've been managing the team and the structural failures. The reason they fail might be different every year based on circumstances, right? But the fact that, the NFC Championship game is the Green Bay Invitational, where every year Green Bay picks an opponent to lose to, like the fact that that's the running joke now, that's a structural issue. The fact that they can't get over that hump, the reason they get there every year is Aaron Rodgers, but they can't get over that hump, that to me is a structural issue. That to me is management. And you got to do something different. You got to do something different.
Yeah, man. Rodgers had a foot out forever. He's had a foot out the door forever. Thinking back to what management has done. Think about it this way, dude. You brought up McCarthy and how McCarthy, people were saying it was McCarthy, right? So what does the management do? The management goes out and they replace McCarthy with Matt LaFleur, right? Matt LaFleur, who was the offensive coordinator for the 27th ranked offense in the NFL at the time, Tennessee. Because that makes a whole lot of sense, right? This has been a long time coming. Everything has just been, it just keeps building up and up and up and up and up. And they could offer, and this is like their last ditch effort to try to keep him, but it's done. Like it's done. At this point, see what you can get for him, and I would start, getting Jordan Love some reps with the O line and with his wideout, because at this point, that's the direction they drafted him for the sole point of replacing Rodgers. Well, you know what? Maybe he's going to be ahead of schedule, in terms of using him. But you know what? This is what you got yourselves into. So now you kind of you dug your hole. Now you got to kind of live with it.
Yeah, I'm in total agreement. All Rodgers is doing, like I said, is speeding up the timeline here. You drafted Jordan Love to replace Rodgers. You're not making the plays. I mean, there was a lot of conversation about the Mike McCarthy firing, whether or not it was the right thing to do, whether or not McCarthy played a hand in the Packers, success undeniably for most of the teams being in the NFC Championship game or going as far in the playoffs as they do every year. Like for any other team, that's a success. I mean, fuck, man, if the Giants made it to the playoffs almost every year, I'd be ecstatic. But the Packers have a Hall of Fame quarterback unlike what 95% of teams in the league have. And if the Packers are constantly losing in the same ways every year, then yeah, sure, we can blame McCarthy. McCarthy goes to Dallas and they just have a disastrous season. Maybe it's not entirely his fault with the pandemic and Dak Prescott getting hurt, but we'll see what McCarthy looks like as a head coach. You make the point.
No.
You
Aaron
make
Rodgers.
the point.
McCarthy was inept. Aaron Rodgers covered up the inept.
I agree with you.
Aaron Rodgers covered up the ineptitude of the coaching staff. He covered up the ineptitude of the offense. Aaron Rodgers made up for the defense getting burned here and there. Like Aaron Rodgers made up for a lot of what they lacked, both in talent and in coaching.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, and I agree with your point on Matt LaFleur. That all you did was bring in a Mike McCarthy clone in Matt LaFleur to do the exact same things. Instead of bringing in a head coach that Aaron Rodgers might respect, a guy who Aaron Rodgers feels like he can bounce ideas off of, a guy who understands that you run a system and you give your Hall of Fame quarterback the room to run. The fact that I know it feels like such a long time ago, but midway through the season, reports were coming out that Rodgers wasn't even listening to LaFleur's play calls, that Rodgers was audibling at the line and just making up his own play calls as
Which is dope
the
as
games
fuck, by
went
the
on.
way. I can
Which is
that
awesome.
100%. That's dope as fuck,
yeah.
by the way.
Dude,
to-
we need more of that. You need more of that, like
telling
in
you.
football.
I don't give a fuck what anybody says. The 1999 Tennessee Titans, Steve McNair called every fucking play. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. Jeff Fisher didn't call a single fucking play in 99. The year they went to the role was Steve McNair and all on Steve McNair.
And that's fine. But if you're going to bring in a head coach that that guys like Rodgers and Brady and Breeze, and way back men, Peyton Manning, like these guys can do that shit. Bring in a head coach who's going to maximize that value. Bring in a head coach who is not going to be like, oh, well, I'm the, 48-year-old head coach and I'm a rising star in this league. You can't make play calls at the line of scrimmage, Aaron Rodgers. It's like, bro, Matt LaFleur, who are you? Who the hell are you? You're nobody. That's Aaron Rodgers. I'm going to go with his play call 10 out of 10 times. And if you're going to bring in a head coach, bring in a guy who's going to be able to work around that. Bring in a guy who's going to be able to use that to his advantage, who's got an acumen that Aaron Rodgers can respect. Not, trying to hit a home run with Sean McVay. And, we all obsessed over Sean McVay when they made the Super Bowl, but what have the Niners done since? Or the Rams, excuse me.
Like, okay, can I say something, and then we can probably move on. And this is honestly like this might be a pipe dream kind of thing, or it probably would not have happened. But if the Packers wanted to bring in a guy like that who Aaron Rodgers would respect, and I think would work with Aaron Rodgers to make him better and to make the entire thing work better, what's a name that oddly would have worked? I think if they maybe tried this a few years ago. I think when did McCarthy get fired? He got fired in 2018, I believe.
I think so.
And end of
that's
2018.
He got fired in 2018.
In 2018.
Yeah. So who they probably could have gotten who was getting back into coaching around that time, 2019, 2018? Gary Kubiak. And I know Gary Kubiak's retired a few times.
1,000 years old, isn't he?
Not even, dude. I think he just turned 60 or something. I don't even think he's 60
he was in his
yet.
70s.
No, Gary Kubiak is a very young guy. He's had some health problems, but he came back into coaching, I think, in 2019 to play with help coach the Minnesota Vikings offense. And I think whether it's Gary Kubiak or whether it was a guy like that, I think you guys get what I'm trying to say, though, right? A guy
He's
like Gary
59.
Kubiak, he is one of the most adaptable, but very straightforward offensive guys. Like that's something Aaron Rodgers would have respected. He's won a Super Bowl. He's known to be one of a player's type of coach, and he's also known to be one of the smartest offensive minds in the NFL. Hell, Joe Flacco made a Pro Bowl with Gary Kubiak as offensive coordinator. Imagine what Aaron Rodgers could do with that type of coaching, because he's also someone, he lets the quarterback be who they are. He doesn't make them do things that they're not strong at. Case Keenum. The reason Case Keenum became on the radar for a lot of NFL teams was because of the work he did in 2013, I believe, with Gary Kubiak. So the dude, like Peyton Manning, even as a digressing Peyton Manning, did very well there. Matt Shaw had some great years great years with Gary Kubiak. So, and again, I know he's retired a few times. He's, done this, done that, but he came back out of retirement around the same time to help coach the Minnesota Vikings offense. I think, if they were smart, they would have at least made a call. Again, I don't know if they did, but I would have at least made a call. Just saying.
I think that's an interesting point you made, because on top of that, I think you look at it this way. I think you look at it and you say they should have gone after a guy like Kubiak earlier than they fired Mike McCarthy. Like, they should have fired Mike McCarthy sooner.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. I agree.
If you pick up Kubiak in 2017, he doesn't need to coach for you for 10 years, because what you do is that starts a snowball effect, right? That Kubiak creates a culture, Kubiak installs a system, Kubiak brings up coordinators. Those coordinators work within the system under a guy who's won lots of Super Bowls, right? We're talking about as a player, as a coach, as a head coach, as a coordinator, a guy who's been there, done that on multiple occasions, right? Who you bring up. So then when Kubiak retires, you have coordinators with an S at the end, waiting in the wings, who Aaron Rodgers has worked with at this point for multiple years, who he respects their acumen, and who he believes that he can work with to build a winner, as opposed to Mr. Outside Hire, who, is either, a fancy up-and-comer like LaFleur, or, is a retread who has been around the league a handful of times and who's on his third stop, hoping that this situation is the one that works, where the others didn't work. And I think that putting that kind of winning culture in place breeds more success in the long term. And that's the kind of winning culture that players like Rodgers respond to. Look, nobody even likes John Gruden, but players want to play for him. I don't know why. I don't know why players want to play for John Gruden. But every time somebody comes up, the Raiders, he's going to go to the Raiders. Poor Derek Carr. I don't know what the hell that man did. But at this point, I understand, because John Gruden's not a fucking idiot. John Gruden knows how to build a culture. He may not be the best X's and O's guy. He may not. Be
I've been calling Spider
dude.
2-Wide Banana for the past 40 years, sir. I'll have you know. Goddamn, he's a grinder played right here.
Yeah, but he's a football guy, and players respond to that. And that's why a guy like Rodgers says, if when I talk, John Gruden's going to listen to me. John Gruden's going to give me the leeway. He's going to respect me as a football player and as a Hall of Famer, and give me the leeway to do the things that I want to do. And when he talks, I'm going to listen. And I don't think Rodgers had that relationship with McCarthy. I don't think Rodgers has that relationship with LaFleur. And I think until the Packers find somebody that Rodgers can build that relationship with, this is going to be, we're going to circle the trade. And at that point, you might as well trade him.
And it's an interesting dichotomy there, because there's a somewhat similar thing happened in Baltimore in 2008, or began to happen at least. So John Harbaugh comes in, special teams coordinator under Andy Reid. No one knew the guy, right? No one knew the guy at all. He comes in 2008 to this already established great defense, this already established culture in Baltimore. And he tried in the beginning to shape it as his own. He butted heads with Ray Lewis. He butted heads with Ed Reed, early on, because he was trying to establish himself and get the respect that way. And very early on, they had some coaches adapt, right? I think it's possible that Matt LaFleur was faced with this situation, and he's still fighting back against, Aaron Rodgers and all this kind of stuff, right? But some coaches don't adapt. But then John Harbaugh, what he did was, he eventually said, all right, literally first few games into that season, he said, my way or the highway is not going to work here. I'm going to adapt to the team and the culture around it. And what happened? John Harbaugh has become one of the most successful, one of the best head coaches in the league, because it wasn't just...
Is he the longest tenured head coach now?
Oh, no. Bill Belichick, bro.
Belichick.
It's Belichick, Tomlin, then Harbaugh.
Bill Belichick.
So that's the thing. Sometimes And it's not like a thing where John Harbaugh completely abandoned and just himself and his own vision. No. John Harbaugh's vision for the team in part has become what the Ravens are about and has become part of the Ravens culture. And that's a good thing. And it's better than where they were. He's evolved it. And that's what I think the Packers have not done. Right? Or they haven't brought in the guy that could do that. I think they brought in guys who want to change the culture a little bit. And you don't necessarily need to do that. When the Green Bay Packers have had a culture of winning, I think you need to work with that and maybe evolve that and work with that way. I just think they didn't hire the guy for that in Matt LaFleur, and I think the fact that you've seen Rodgers butt heads with that guy and it's come to the point where this has come out, like, dude, it's sad. It's sad because, like, dude, how do you? I said this with, I say this about like a few players, right? Like Aaron Rodgers. How the fuck do you let Aaron Rodgers like out for an MVP season? Like, how do you make him disgruntled? How? Like, it's unfathomable to me that this was allowed to happen. Like, and again, it's just like one of those things. Like, how are these people allowed to run football operations? It baffles me. It baffles me.
Well, there's no owner to tell him to fuck off. So.
And you know what? Once Aaron Rodgers is out, you know what they do? It's very simple. You let Jordan Love fail. They fire LaFleur, fire Gutekunst. You bring in old khaki pants from University of Michigan. He gives Kaepernick a contract. Bang, bada bing, bada boom. Here we go.
To be fair, we don't know anything about Jordan Love. I think we should say that we don't know whether he's bad. We don't know whether he's good. Like, literally have not seen him take a snap ever. So, look, for me at least, until I see him take a few snaps, the jury is still out on what he is. Because literally, like, he was one of those players in the draft. He had some potential, but it was like, you know, like it was like you had to develop him. We don't know where that development is. So, hey, good luck to Jordan Love. Hope he's a multiple-time world champion Hall of Famer. Good luck to everybody, like, literally. But it's like, I got to see what he is before. And, you know, hopefully the Packers, for their sake, know something that we don't.
And just know if he's not, if he's not, as I just mentioned before, you bring in old khaki pants, fire Gutekunst, fire LaFleur, get Colin Kaepernick up in there, problem solved.
All right. A lot of Packers talk today. Let's move on to the NFL as a whole. Guys, the off season, a lot of attention this year round. Tom Brady on the OTAs. He joined a call for the NFL Players Association and delivered an impassioned speech calling for unity among the players in what Brady believes should be, quote, very intense negotiations, end quote, with coaches on modifying off-season work rules. Quote, there's no fucking pro baseball player that's throwing 95 miles per hour in mid-December, end quote, Brady said, referring to the league's off-season activities as, quote, overly competitive prior to providing such an example. So, guys, what do we think about this? Do we think the NFL needs to cool it, needs to give their players a little off-season space before they get a move in? The players have called for all non-necessary off-season in-person workouts to be canceled this year, including voluntary OTAs and mandatory minimums. Wrong podcast. Mandatory mini camps. 21 teams have already opted out in total on voluntary OTAs, the first being the Denver Broncos and the most recent being the New York Football Giants and the New York Jets. And the Tennessee Titans, I actually believe, are the most recent. And so with that in mind, guys, do we think that we should see long-term changes to the NFL's off-season schedule because of the shifts based on the COVID necessities? Andrew?
So my take on this is this. First off, on Tom Brady's part, this is brilliant, by the way. This is brilliant. All this is doing is he's just going to go out there and win another Super Bowl. You know, if you could eliminate the competition, if you know for a fact Odell would rather be driving an Uber than lifting weights in the offseason, but you know what? This is genius because you know Big Tom, regardless of whether his team has to practice, you know Big Tom, he's getting his workouts in daily. You know Big Tom is doing what he's got to do. You know he's got the boys down there doing what they got to do. I think this is brilliant. You know, he's just going to take the competition and, you know, he's going to make them eliminate themselves is what he's going to do. You know, you're going to have guys like you're going to have some of these dudes where without football, you know, these guys are going to be going out partying. They're going to be doing all this other stuff. It's not football related because they're going to have the time to. And I think this is brilliant on Tom Brady's part. You know, he's just going to go he's going to go win himself 2-3 more Super Bowls because the competition is going to eliminate itself. This is brilliant. This is brilliant.
So completely ignoring.
Before you go, real quick, I thought it was sorry. I thought it was interesting that Brady doesn't necessarily frame it in terms of health and safety and COVID stuff. Do you have any thoughts on that? He seems to frame it more in terms of long-term sustainability rather than keeping safe because of COVID.
The whole point is, as he said before, dude, he was like, you don't see players giving 100%, baseball players. You don't see those dudes giving 100% in the offseason. And he's 100% right. What those dudes are doing is they're just keeping their bodies in shape. They're running. They're doing all the extra stuff. They're doing, running up hills and all that stuff. He also knows that, I don't know if you know, that what's one thing a lot of high school football players, for example, what is one thing those guys do instead of going to weightlifting? What do? Those guys run track, right? Well,
Play
now
lacrosse.
those guys don't have that as an alternative now, and these guys have money. So what are they going to do? You're going to have the Odell, the Tyreek Hills of the world. They're not going to be in the weight room. They're not going to be in the weight room lifting and stuff like that. No, they're going to be partying. Odell, he's going to be doing a reality TV series. He's going to be driving Ubers and shit like that. So
well, look at DK Metcalf running the 100-meter dash.
But that's for his craft, though. I'm talking like you're not going to see DK Metcalf. You're not going to see DK Metcalf driving no Ubers on fucking TikTok.
Dude, okay. Can I need to interrupt this? I'm sorry, dude. Okay, like this is okay. Everything that just comes out of
on Brady's part.
Look. It's fun to say that kind of stuff, I'm sure, but like to say that every single player is going to be like partying it up, Odell, Odell, like he doesn't put in the work, dude.
Trust me, Lamar Jackson,
Stop.
He's going to be in the lab. Lamar's going to be in the lab,
dude. But like it's just, dude. Again,
I know
you're just
Derrick
picking
Henry's
and
going to be in
choosing.
the lab.
You're just picking and choosing players you like, though. You can't do that. You have to be a little bit.
It's not players
objective.
I like. It's players I know are going to put the work in regardless. I know Josh Allen's going to be in the lab. I know Brady's going to be in the lab. I know there's going to be all these rookies coming out, for a damn thing, because they're all unproven. They're going to be in the lab. You're going to have the guys who have made the money, who have the Instagram clout, who already have reality TV series. They're going to be sitting there like, fuck it. I don't care. You know what? I don't care. I don't need to do this shit because football is just secondary at this point. Football was the way to.
That's not true, though. That's not true, though. You act like. Okay, I'm going to ignore that. But no.
Every player's Odell, right?
I'm not going to fight back on the Odell. Odell going on that fucking boat tanked whatever momentum the Giants had. I'm not fighting back on Odell. I'm not going to fight back on Odell.
That wasn't, come on, but that wasn't just because of the boat. Yes, there was some bad karma that came with that. I'll give you that.
He dropped 2 touchdowns. I don't want to hear it.
It was bad karma, bro. You can't, but
he was hungover. It's not bad karma.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. That's fair. But okay, if you're at, but all I'm saying is to put a bow on the Odell thing. I'm just saying. All I'm saying is I don't think taking away OTAs from Odell is gonna make him significantly a worse player and make him out of shape. I think he's gonna be fine.
I think it will.
That's okay. That's your opinion.
Anyway, Omer.
Can I? Okay. So as far as these OTA goes, so as far as eliminating these, as far as eliminating the voluntary workouts, as far as eliminating the off-season OTAs, I think it's a good idea, I think, to an extent, right? I think we should definitely make the voluntary minicamps completely voluntary because it's weird the way the contracts are written. Sometimes they're voluntary, sometimes they're not, but they're voluntary, yeah, if you want to get paid. But then, the OTAs are where you get into a bit of a mixed bag, I think, for me, because I genuinely think that when you're a rookie and you're just coming in, or if you're on a roster, or if you're like on the bubble for a roster spot, I think that's a situation where OTAs help you out significantly because you're able to build rapport with the team, you're able to build rapport with the coaches, you're able to show the coaches your conditioning, you're able to show them where you are in your development as a player, and I think that's important. So I wouldn't go so far as completely eliminating those. Now, where I think Brady has a point, and I think he has 2 points here that are very crucial to the argument. One is the analogy he made about baseball players not throwing 95 miles per hour in mid-December. I think that's actually spot on. Like I think having full contact, things before training camp, I think that can be very dangerous. We've seen many times players getting injured. I know Dennis Pitta, for any Ravens fan out there, twice back-to-back seasons, dislocating his hip on contact injuries during mini camps, not even training camp, mini camp. Like those are bad things that happen sometimes. So I think maybe toning that down is definitely good for the game. And honestly, I think veterans who've been playing the game for a long time, I don't think they need it. Like, let's be honest, they don't need it. It's been shown. How do you elongate someone's career who's been playing in the NFL for 10 years? You you allow them to rest in the offseason because they know how to condition their bodies. They know how to do all that kind of stuff. They're at this point, they're professionals. They can do it. And don't give me that Look at Tom Brady, prime example of that. So
Tom Brady is not driving Ubers on TikTok.
Odell hasn't been in the league for 10 years. I'm completely ignoring whatever you just said. So I think it's proven that older players, veterans, they know how to condition their bodies. It's better for their careers if you don't make them go through unnecessary mini camps and unnecessary OTAs, and then have everyone show up at training camp, and then you can go like whatever, you can turn up the throttle then. But that's where I think he has a point. And I think that eliminating it completely though would hurt young players. I actually do believe that, because you need to be able to develop young players. You need to be able to show them, situational types of plays. You need to have them actually have some football, develop some football memory, some instinctual memory in playing the game. So I think it's like a. So it's weird. I know I'm like playing around with it or whatever, but that's honestly what I think is true. I think like for younger players, completely eliminating OTA is bad. So for older players, they probably should be at OTA. So maybe have a happy medium. Like let's slow OTAs down a little bit, and then make it completely voluntary for veterans. Let's say if you whatever 5 years out of college. I don't know what the minimum would be. I'm not in part of these negotiations. I'm just a commentator. But you guys know what I'm saying.
So I wanna add on to the baseball analogy. I kind of want to pick that and run for a little bit.
Well, let me just start by saying Jacob Degrom rolls out of bed and throws 95 regardless of the season. So
that's true. Well, I like that you bring up Degrom, because Degrom is one of these guys. You talk about how many pitches are in your baseball life, right? Because a pitcher only has so many bullets in his arm before, he can't pick up his kit anymore, right? Before he retires at 38. And his arm falls off. It doesn't work anymore. You guys don't know if you listen to Starting Nine, the Barstool baseball podcast with Dallas Braden and Jared Carrabas. But Dallas Braden talks about how, he got, cortisone shots and platelet-rich plasma therapy to try to revive his arm at the end of his career, and everything he did, he's topping out at 84, and he, lifting his left arm above here hurts now, and, he can't do shit with his shoulder anymore. And I think that you see with Degrom, the reason why he's in his early 30s still pitching the way he's pitching is because he missed years. He started pitching late, right? He wasn't a pitcher until his last season in college, and even then he didn't come out until he was like 22. He didn't make his debut until he was 25. And now he's 33. With not a lot of minor league time pitching and not a lot of major league time pitching, right? And so you're looking at a guy.
A lot of hardware, though. He does have a lot.
Yeah, a lot of hardware. But you're looking at a guy who's 33, who could pitch into his mid 40s, who's throwing harder than anybody else in baseball. And I think to transition back to the NFL here, that's kind of the point that Brady is trying to make, is that a human body, similar to an MLB pitcher, a human body can only take so many hits before it starts to wear down. Dennis Pitta gets hurt, not because his hip gets hit in a weird place, but because he's taken so many hits in that exact spot that eventually one hit's going to snap it. One hit's going to break that bone because that bone is already so weak, right? Yep. And I think that the value, and you're talking about guys, we're not talking about guys who've been taking big hits since college. I got buddies who play in high school that are like, I had like 5 or 6 concussions in high school, playing linebacker. And we just didn't say anything about it because they needed me on the field, And we're talking about like kids from Chicago. Imagine all these kids from like Texas and Oklahoma and the deep South, where football is a way of life, and your brain cells don't matter, and you can run on a football field. That's what we need you for. And so you're talking about preserving players' bodies. Save the hits for the game. Save the hits for the game. They don't need extra reps. They've been doing this since they were 8 years old playing tackle football. They don't need the reps. You want to keep players healthy? Get football players playing track and lacrosse in the off season to
Okay.
make sure that they have radial movement, right? So they have radial movement so they can have good footwork, so they can create good habits for themselves. And when football season rolls around, it doesn't take too long to get them adjusted to taking hits because they've been doing it since they were 8 years old. Yeah, there's something to be said about getting, in practice reps and about, seeing the speed of the game and getting young kids warmed up to what the NFL games looks like. There absolutely is something to be
Again,
said about
it's
that.
for me. It's only like that applies for younger players. If you're a veteran who's been in the NFL for a while, you already know. Like at a certain point, it's only hurting you. It's only hurting them.
Yeah.
It's only hurting Dennis Pitta at that point in his career. It was only hurting him to have him in OTAs. It would only hurt Tom Brady to have him in OTAs unnecessarily, or even like veterans like Frank Gore, whoever. Right? At a certain point, you just become like your conditioning's not really a factor, like that kind of stuff. You just have to give them the ability to play when they're ready. That's it. Like, so I mean, like that's the point I was trying to make. I just said that rookie, like, if you're
I
a
agree
rookie,
with
it's
you.
better for
I
you
think
to have
that
that practice time.
Yeah, I think that on the rookies, it's even more dangerous to give them that play time so early because the idea is that you draft these guys not younger but older because they're not physically capable of handling the speed of the NFL. A lot of these guys come up and they're smart. They're not dumb. They've been reading defenses their whole lives, but they can't make the plays physically because you need to spend that summer in the NFL weight room with the NFL eating program. You need to get that bulk up. You need to build that muscle memory and those fast twitch fibers. That's where the importance of the non-contact drills that you run, the non-contact weight gaining programs that these NFL programs. But that's why guys get drafted from these big name schools and why players go to these big name schools. Not because they're gonna have exorbitant success at all times. I mean, you will if you go to Alabama, but you go to these programs in college football because they are going to get you ready for the speed of the NFL game. Nick Saban is running NFL programs with NFL money at Alabama to make sure that when his offensive linemen are drafted, they can take on 290-pound NFL linebackers and NFL linemen who run 4.4, 4.5, 4.6 40s. They're ready to do that on day one. But most players coming out of the NFL draft aren't ready to do that. And I'm not going to put them in that situation in voluntary OTAs, in mandatory minimum camps, and in training camps when they're just literally not physically able to do that. That's why players get hurt, right? That's why they tear their ACLs. That's why they have bone injuries and contact injuries because their bodies can't physically take that yet because they're just not strong enough. And if you take these hits out when they can't handle it, allow them to build up the strength and ability, to run the route. If you're a receiver, you run your routes. If you're a cornerback, you learn the fundamentals. If you're a linebacker, you understand the system. Because if you're putting yourself in the place to make the right play, chances are you're not going to get hurt. If you're in the wrong spot, if you're in a weird situation, if you're doing something wrong, that's going to increase your chances of getting hurt. And at the end of the day, we want to keep these players healthy, safe, and with all of their mental and physical faculties, or at least as much as you can keep them. I get it. The NFL is a violent game. You sign up for a certain amount of physical and mental distress playing a contact sport as your profession. But that doesn't mean we can't do our best to help these people so they don't become things like what happened to, the tragic stories that we hear out of retired players and the tragic losses that we get out of people who struggle with their mental and physical health after they leave the game. And this is a very small and very common sense shift that we can make based on the fact that it only provides marginal tangible benefits. The tangible benefits are marginal and the detriments are very tangibly widespread and negative.
And I like what you said too. I did like what you said about, some of these young kids coming out, they can't take the hits. And you're absolutely right. There were a lot of guys that I saw in college. I'm not going to name them. I think you can kind of figure out some of them that there are some guys who in college, even now, I don't think those guys coming out that were drafted that can take an NFL hit. I do think the minute Ndamukong Suh gets his hands on them, some of them quarterbacks, he might break them in half. I saw one quarterback in particular in a bowl game. He got sacked by a corner. The corner got ejected for hitting him too hard, and that quarterback didn't get up. So I do agree with what you're saying that a lot of these young kids cannot handle it, and that's why I think the OTAs, they are important. But I think nothing is more important though than getting these guys ready for the NFL.
All right, Omer, any final thoughts before we move on?
Trevor Lawrence was the number 1 overall pick for a reason. That's all I'm going to say.
And if Ndamukong Suh gets his hands on him, he will break him in half.
Good thing they're not in the same division.
Lucky for him.
So, on to our final topic of the day. The NBA awards race is heating up or thawing, if you will. It looks like Nugget center Nikola Jokic is the favorite to win the MVP award. Earlier today, Russell Westbrook broke Oscar Robertson's record for the most triple-doubles in NBA history with, I believe, his 182nd, maybe his 181st. I'm not quite sure. We see the Rookie of the Year race largely tied up, likely to Hornets point guard LaMelo Ball. We see the Defensive Player of the Year race likely finished going to Jazz center Rudy Gobert. Are there any races that are still open for debate? I haven't mentioned the Sixth Man of the Year because I have a controversial take on this, and I haven't mentioned any of the All-NBA teams, which are interesting because the NBA is playing around with the positional rankings with a lot of players, listing guys like Joel Embiid and Nikola Jokic as forwards, listing LeBron as a guard, and making they also made Jason Tatum a guard and Jaylen Brown a forward. Just now, we would be remiss if we did not mention that today Jaylen Brown went down for the rest of the season with a wrist injury, so he will miss the remainder of the regular season and all of the postseason. Now, the Celtics are slated for the play-in game, and they look pretty awful. They have looked pretty awful all year. I would not expect them to win their play-in game matchup against the Hornets, but certainly losing Jaylen Brown makes that a tough proposition for them. Andrew, I know you're going to have a Galaxy Brain take on this that we're all going to disagree with. So why don't you hit me with what you're thinking?
All right. Well, number one, the Jaylen Brown news, T's and P's. Hope he gets better soon. I'm just saying, if you do happen to get out of that play-in, that's one less obstacle for my New York Knicks, one less hurdle for us. So there is that.
Yes, sir. Hashtag Knicks Day.
Good job. He's helping the Knicks without even being on the team. We love to see it. The Sixth Man of the Year. There's no doubt who the Sixth Man of the Year should go to. The Sixth Man of the Year should go to the man who the New York Knicks acquired from the Detroit Pistons.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
The Sixth Man of the Year is Derrick Rose. I mean, without a doubt, he's turning back the clock.
Without a doubt.
I don't know what it is. You get you get Derrick Rose playing for Tibbs, and immediately the man becomes a 20-point per game scorer, a fucking leader, a closer, an assassin. He becomes the dude he was 10 years ago. Under Tibbs, no matter what uniform he's wearing, under Tibbs, he's a fucking sniper. The dude's shooting like 40-something% from three. Like,
I think he's 50-40-90 with the Knicks.
He's 50-40-90. He's the closer. He's basically like, we start out for Peyton just for shits and giggles, just so the other team kind of backs off, but we know who the real point guard of this team is. It's Derrick Rose.
When he comes in the game, he does not leave. Like, once he's in the game, he plays the rest of the game. Tibbs does not sub him out once he puts him in.
And rightfully so.
Late in the first quarter.
And rightfully so. In terms of the sixth man, no, not sixth man. Most improved is Julius Randle. That's without a doubt. He's going to be all NBA. First team or second team. This is where I actually have a kind of a debate, because people are like, well, he's not, this guy statistically is having a better season. And I was like, but listen, you kept RJ Barrett off the all rookie team because he wasn't performing in New York. So you have to now inflate the guy who is performing in New York if you're going to use those same standards to keep a guy off. the all-rookie team because R.J. Barrett at this point of his career, you look at all those dudes that made the all-rookie team outside of John Morant and Zion, R.J. is fucking blowing them all away. He is fucking blowing on a playoff team too. I mean,
can you even name anybody else besides those two from the all-rookie team?
Fucking Tyler Hero, Kendrick Nunn. I mean, they both. Who the fuck are that? Like Tyler Hero, he's cool. I mean, I guess
he was a rookie last year.
He fucking Kendrick Nunn. Who the fuck is that? Who is that?
I don't know.
Not in the rotation for the Miami Heat.
Exactly. And the New York Knicks are above them. RJ is the number 2 scorer on the 4 team in the East. This Kendrick Nunn dude is a bench player for a team who's behind New York, who gets carried every night by fucking by Bam, Jimmy Butler, and Goran Dragic when he's on the court. So I think Julius Randle is definitely an all NBA first team. You know what? My defensive player of the year, it's going to be Rudy Gobert. I actually, and this is my Knicks bias coming out, of course, but before he went down, Nerlens Noel was making a very fucking strong case for that defensive player. I understand Rudy Gobert, even though Nerlens Noel,
the bias is showing.
He's gonna the Jazz are 17 points per game better per 100 possessions when Rudy Gobert is on the court versus when he's off. That's the best in the league by far. It's like not even close.
Yeah.
I forget who the number 2 is, but it's like not even close. There's 17 points per possession better.
Rudy Gobert is
unbelievable.
Actually, high key, he's like one of the most dominant defensive players we've ever seen.
Like ever.
All that for a second round exit.
All that for that's the truth. It's all that for a second round exit.
Things might change this year, man. This is
all that for a first round exit.
Oh, you're right.
All that for a first round exit.
You're right. They'll fall. Exactly. You're right. They'll talk about Phoenix, dude. Everyone's all Phoenix. Listen, if they're gonna play Steph, hey, this is gonna be We Believe Warriors Part 2, by the way. If Phoenix got to play Steph in the first round, they're gonna pull some We Believe Warriors Part 2 in 5 games.
All the Galaxy Brain Chris Paul for MVP takes are gonna fall real flat as soon as the Suns get bounced in the first round by the Warriors or the Lakers. It's gonna be unbelievable. And look, I think the Suns. I'm a big. You guys know the mismatch on the Ringer with Kevin O'Connor and Chris Vernon. I'm a big fan of the bright future Suns, but let's be real, they're not ready yet. Not ready yet. Chris Paul has never elevated a team in the playoffs because Chris Paul knows how to kick the shit out of people who don't know how to play basketball, and Chris Paul doesn't know how to elevate a playoff team to a championship team. That's been the one constant, especially with his time with the Clippers, right? His time in New Orleans and his time with the Clippers showed us that Chris Paul is a floor raiser, not a ceiling raiser.
Same deal.
And with Houston too.
Deal.
Yep.
They had
He's
that
a
game.
Floor raiser.
They had everything. They had everything in their favor.
You can go back to time as OKC. It's the same thing.
They had Game 7. Houston had Game 7 in Houston. They had it all. It was all they had all the chips. Ball was in their court and they fumbled it.
Yep, and that's the what 17 missed shots game for James Harden.
Oh my God, that fourth quarter was ugly. That fourth quarter, I remember. Oh, that was an ugly fourth quarter.
So it's not.
It's for the Rockets. I wanted to play the Rockets and not the Warriors. I was like.
Well, we were all rooting for the Rockets. We did not want to see the Warriors' evil dynasty continue.
Yeah, I was a Cavs fan. I did not want to see. I didn't want to see the KD Warriors in the final. That was scary to me, man. I was like, we were coming off a championship. I was like, no, I don't need this. So
I think it's pretty well documented that Chris Paul is a floor raiser, not a ceiling raiser. And I love Devin Booker. I think the dude's a stud. I think he's a all-star snub every year for no reason. I think that he gets a bad rap because he plays in a small market that hasn't been relevant since before Amari Stoudemire was a Knick. And Amari is going to go into the Hall of Fame as a Knick, not a Sun. Just you wait. If he makes it to the Hall of Fame at all.
Nani?
Listen.
Real quick before I finish, I'm gonna finish up real quick. I think that at the end of the day, we're gonna see the Suns get bounced. We're gonna see the Jazz get bounced. And it's going to be a real wild Western Conference because we have 1 through 8. These teams they're not separated by much. Really,
dude, the play-in tournament too. The play-in tournament. Don't forget about the play-in tournament.
Somehow the Pelicans are still in this.
Somehow the Pelicans are still in, and the Lakers have not. The Lakers have not clinched the playoff spot.
Dude, San Antonio is up by 20 on Milwaukee right now.
Wow.
The
Oh,
wild,
wow.
wild
The NBA
west.
is a wild place.
Can I get to my picks and then maybe
Yes,
we
sir.
can
Your turn. Your
bring
turn.
it. So for me, MVP, I think I love Chris Paul, but that's a pipe dream for MVP. Nikola Jokic has shown that he has been one of the best and most underrated, honestly, players for a long time. This year, averaging damn near 27 points a game. Dude's got like over 10 rebounds. And the 8 assists, guys. The 8 assists is like the big thing. Like that is for a 7-foot center who's like that is a huge thing. I think Nikola Jokic has elevated his play and that of his teammates this year, and that cannot be understated. He deserves to win the MVP, barring some sort of miraculous. I don't even know. There's no one who can catch him. It's Nikola Jokic's award.
Oh, Julius Randle can, but
yeah, okay.
Julius Randle is a facsimile of Nikola Jokic.
So,
but I'll be real. There's nothing better than the original.
I would say though one place I will disagree with you. Love Derrick Rose. The dude is having a great season.
If we're gonna have the Jordan Clarkson argument, I got receipts.
Okay. Let's have that argument then. But I do think Jordan Clarkson needs to get his due here. And that's not saying that I think he will win. That's me saying I think he deserves to at least be discussed in this category. So before you two start like this one, like, nah, man, Knicks pride, New York, represent, only Derrick Rose can be talked about. That's a Boston accent. I don't even know what I'm doing. But before you guys get mad about that, I would still say my pick would be Derrick Rose, but I think Jordan Clarkson, we need to have that conversation because he's averaging the same amount of minutes per game as Derrick Rose, I believe, around 26 minutes. More points a game. I think he has 16 points. He's got very similar numbers of assists and what have you. And the team is just doing like the Utah Jazz are just better team in the West than the Knicks are in the East. Not disagree. Shake your head all you want. I think he made a great impact. I think that team does not have 50 wins without Jordan Clarkson. And I think we should have that conversation. Again, before you rail into me and be like, oh, you're wrong, and the Knicks, they're going to win the finals.
No, I have facts. I have facts. I'm calm.
Go for your facts. Go.
Oh, he's going to Will Kane you. He's going to hit you with the facts.
No, I have facts.
You're going to hit,
let me tell you.
Hit me with a Will Kane. Hit me with a Will Kane circa 2021. I want to hear that.
Don't tell me that. Don't tell me that. But I have facts. First of all, the Jazz are an elite team, and Jordan Clarkson is a big part of that. There is no doubt about that. But the best team in the NBA since the acquisition of Derrick Rose is, drumroll please, the New York Knicks. They are 22-9 since the acquisition of Derrick Rose, the best winning percentage in the league. Derrick Rose this season is averaging 14.6 points per game, 4.2 assists, and 2.5 rebounds. He is shooting 47% from the field, 39% from three, and 86% from the line. Excellent numbers. Now, if this was 2 months ago, then it was no debate. But we are stuck in we all took a snapshot of the league at a certain point and made our decision, and that was the end of it. Jordan Clarkson is shooting 42% from the field and 34% from three. He is a great 44%. Player. No, 34% from three. I'm looking at it right now. 41.7% from the field.
No, he's 44. He's 44. I'm looking at it right now. He's 44% from the field and 34% from three.
I'm staring at it, my guy. It's 41.7.
You got pro basketball reference pulled up?
Ooh. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. 26.5 minutes per game, 6.4 field goals, 15.4 field goal attempts, 41.7 field goal percentage, three threes per game, 8.6 3 points attempted.
I was looking at the wrong year, so you go ahead.
I know you were.
You got a dub on that. You got a dub on that.
I'm glad. I know, because I've had this argument before. This is not the first time I've had this debate. That's how I have these facts, right? It's the fact that he is a great player, but he does not fit what the NBA asks for. He is a chucker. He is inefficient. He comes on. No, he's a great player, and the role that he plays is come off the bench and shoot ridiculous shots, right? That's the role that he plays. It's the
He is
old
J.R.
It's the old
Smith.
J.R. Yeah, that's the exact comp I was just about to make.
He's better.
plays the
He's
J.R.
better
He
than
Smith
wasn't.
J.R.
role.
Smith. He's
No,
playing
no,
better
no,
than
no, no,
J.R.
no. He's
Smith.
not as good as JR. No.
He's not as good as J.R. Smith.
He's playing better than
Not even
J.R.
close.
Smith right now.
No.
He's having a career year.
You
This
didn't
is the
see
best
JR
year.
at 27. You didn't see JR at
Oh,
27
come on.
like
Yeah,
I
come
did.
on. Okay, Clarkson
JR
has
can
been
come
pretty
off
good.
the.
Clarkson
JR
has been.
averaged 20.
It's
JR
just what New
one
Yorkers
season.
do. They just yell until you listen to them talk, and that's why I'm not going to let him finish.
JR
In
Smith
fact, I
averaged
might just
20 points
mute
off the
this
bench 1 year in New York.
Dude, yeah, 1
So-
year in New York. That's
so,
all. That's
Omer,
all you guys.
I'm gonna-
That's all I
I'm
ever
gonna
hear from Knicks
conclude now.
fans. You know what, dude? I'm sorry. Okay, yeah, Derrick Rose. I even said it. In the beginning. All I said, I want to give.
You can get mad at me. His stats
I'm
are
not
better.
getting mad
His
at
stats
you.
are
I'm
better.
not getting mad at you. No, I'm not.
Clarkson
No,
has
And
no,
the
been
team
a
no.
bum
wins.
No,
since he was
no, that's
drafted out of the
fine.
University of Missouri. He has been a bum
Guys.
with the Lakers. He was a bum with Cleveland. He is now a glorified bum in Utah.
Bum.
It is your turn.
He's not a bum. And that's just capping. That's just capping. But hey, we need somebody on here who
Scrub,
just
my
caps, right? Again.
He's not a bum. He's not a bum.
He's a
Yeah,
scrub.
again,
my bad.
if you guys could get past your Knicks fandom, you might have heard what I literally qualified all my remarks with.
Oh, I did.
No,
Earlier.
I know you said that Rose would win, but I'm just making sure that everybody knows
if I had to
that
give
that's
a vote,
not
I would
Nick's
give it to
bias.
Rose.
That's facts.
That's fine, and that is fine. But what isn't what is a bias is the fact that whenever I hear people talk about, and this is like a bigger conversation I want to have, like whenever I hear the Knicks talk about anything, dude, it's always like, oh yeah. When this guy was with, again, my boss.
You're just
New
making
York
the
accent.
Andrew voice. You're just
Yeah.
doing Andrew voice with the yeah.
Yeah, but like, I don't know. That's how all New Yorkers or New York Knicks fans sound to me. But no, but seriously, like, it's always like, what have they done in the past? What is everything's done in the past? It's like holding on to like this semblance of like greatness from the past and like projecting it onto present day was what I never got.
I don't
right?
know, man. I'm speaking all facts, and you're straw manning me.
I'm not talking.
I made
I'm
my
not talking
case
about you. I mean,
But I'm a Knicks fan, and I'm a New Yorker.
The facts.
Okay. I mean, you're also the one who told me that apparently all New York Knicks fans are holding on to the pipe dream that they will return to like the '90s Knicks form. Like,
This
we
is the
already
90
there.
Knicks form.
We're already
We're already
there.
there. We're doing it right now. We're doing it right now.
Tibbs
Look,
is
man.
the last time the New York Knicks were in the finals was 1999. The only carryover from that team was Tom Thibodeau. He brought 90s ball back to New York.
Brought it back. That team plays defense like no team I've ever seen before. They're fourth in the league. I was listening to who's I listening to? I think it was Logan Bell or Logan Murdoch and Roger Bell. They were talking about that there are no like all defensive candidates on the Knicks, right? There's no one on there that you're just like, yeah, that guy brings elite defense. I know Andrew mentioned Nerlens Noel. I know Nerlens Noel's got like 2.4 blocks per game, but I'm not like Nerlens Noel's not making a defensive team. He's not elite like that, right? They got
Better
Taj
be on the
Gibson
team next year, though. He better be on that team next year.
Yeah, he will. They got Taj Gibson. Like this man is 38 years old, ice with like no legs left, playing like elite center defense.
He's got
because
the
of the
Kareem
scheme
Rex
and the
specs
hustle.
going for him.
Yep. And that's what makes this team inspiring is that they work together, they work as a team, they're fun to watch. That's why Knicks fans
again,
are over
I
the
might
moon
be
about
jaded.
this.
I might be jaded, but
You are.
literally
You are
all
jaded. Let us have
I've
fun.
been hearing about from Knicks fans for like my entire life. And it's not just you guys. It's not just you guys. No matter how bad they've ever been. It's just like, oh, you just wait. You just wait. Like and
Just
it's
wait.
always
We
like
got it.
talking
We
about
got
the
it here.
90s and always talking about like and it's like even they were trash for 10 straight years from like 2009 to like basically now. And it's like on that 10 years I just heard oh man, it's like give it a year, and look, I admitted it last week again before you guys take me out of contact and call me a straw man producing straw arguments. Literally last week I was with Andrew and I said, yeah, the Knicks are one of the best teams in the East and are going to be formidable for years to come if they can keep this core together.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You gotta take it with a grain of salt because
no salt.
You
There's
gotta
no
take it
salt.
with a grain of salt,
You're
man.
bringing the salt. The only person bringing the salt is you.
Okay.
That's all that's happening here.
Okay.
Because
how far do the Knicks get in the playoffs? How far do the Knicks get in the playoffs?
I
They
would say
lose
at
in the
least
second
East
round.
Finals. East Finals. I think. Yeah.
Not the East Finals. Not the East Finals. They lose in the
yeah.
second round.
Oh yeah,
They
we
beat
will.
They beat the Hawks in 7. They beat the
Mhm.
Hawks in 7.
Beat the
And
Hawks
they
in 7.
lose. They probably take 2 games from the Nets
No,
because the Nets can't play defense.
we win 4-2.
Oh no, the Nets
We don't
don't play
beat the Nets.
defense.
We
The
win
Nets
4-2.
don't
The
play. They
Nets
refuse.
the Nets don't
They
play
refuse.
defense. So
They're like,
So-
why waste our time with defense when we can just
Yeah.
play offense?
the Nets
we
the
win
Nets
4-2
don't play
'cause-
defense.
But we win 4-2 because every game is essentially a home game in that series. So
Oh,
we're gonna
dude,
protect
come
home
on!
court.
Oh, you don't win that game. I'm sorry, you don't win that 4-2. I can't give
We
you.
don't
the
we don't win, we
Brooklyn
don't beat
Nets.
the Nets. We take 2. We go down valiantly with our head high, and we say, "All right, Kawhi Leonard, bro, the Clippers are a shit show. Come on over, Kawhi Leonard. Come play with Julius Randle. Come play with a real
This
coach.
thing again.
Come
This
play
thing
with a
again.
real team. Come on, Kawhi Leonard. Come leave that bullshit team in Los Angeles."
Andrew's Zion theory, right? That Zion's gonna get traded to the Knicks.
No, he's not gonna get
There's
traded.
no
He's signing
Zion
here.
theory.
He's signing here 5 years
But
from now. Yes,
that's-
he is.
But I'm not waiting 5 years for him. Look at
Okay, I'm
this
sorry.
about what
I'm
happens
sorry,
5
Andrew.
years
I mean,
from now.
Johnny. But this is what I'm talking about. This is this is why I'm jaded, like in
He's
the
gonna
belief
recruit.
in the
No,
Knicks.
that's-
RJ is already RJ since draft night has been recruiting Zion the same way LeBron was
But
being
how do you?
recruited by D Wade.
But it doesn't matter if RJ's recruiting Zion. How do you get Zion? You have to trade RJ to get
No, you
Zion.
don't. No, you don't.
You
No, you don't. Listen, for the time
trade.
being, listen, we go. Listen, this is what's going to happen. If we strike out on Kawhi, it's very simple. We strike out on Kawhi, we bundle together some assets, maybe a draft pick, and we trade for Damian Lillard.
But you're making the cupboard bare. Why is stripping everything to get Damian Lillard? You're trading everything that's not tied down, right? So why is Julius Randle a better running mate for Damian Lillard than CJ McCollum and Yusuf Nurkic? Why would Lillard want to come here if coming here
He
means
might
you're
got you
trading
there.
all the reasons why the Knicks are good this season? Forget about Damian Lillard. Forget about chasing stars. At this point, I would be fine with giving DeMar DeRozan a contract and running it back again with that team to see if Julius Randle really can be a number 1 on a championship team.
I could see it. We give Kyle Lowry a nice 1 year, $10 million. To
I think
kinda-
Lowry signs with the Heat. I think he's looking
No,
to.
no,
I think he's looking for something different.
No. Kyle Lowry's got the toughness. Kyle Lowry, he's the prototypical. Kyle Lowry is what Tibbs wants in a guard. He plays defense and he could score. He's basically what we would want in Elfrid Payton, except he's not 6'6". He's only 6 feet.
He's what we hope that IQ becomes, right?
No,
He's what we, and IQ is gonna.
IQ's going to be like Steph Light. He's going to be like that. They have a
Yeah,
4-point line in practice for IQ. They put a 4-point line in practice for IQ.
Yeah, but is IQ a starter? That's my question. Is IQ a starter? Is IQ
A year
a 6
from now, yes, he is. Next year, yes, he is.
I mean, he might be a starter just because the Knicks don't have better point guards. But
No,
you're
he's gonna
talking about But you're not talking about an undersized guard. You know, he's underweight. He's under like 190 pounds.
Listen.
He's not a guy who's defending NBA point guards.
They're gonna
His
get
best
him-
role
listen.
might be microwave scorer off the bench.
They're going to get him. Listen, they're going to put him on a nutrition program. They're going to get him in the weight room. They're going to get him. He's going to go on the same training program that Julius Randle went on, that he's going to put on some weight while he's going to cut and he's going to bulk at the same time. I don't know how the fuck he's going to do it, but he's going to do it. And then he's going to step in. He's going to be our point guard of the future alongside RJ. And listen, man, I don't think we're going to strike out on Kawhi. I think we're going to get Kawhi. I think yesterday was really big. I think Kawhi is going to sit there. He's going to be like, I'm tired of fucking being second fiddle in LA, even though he should be the main story in LA. He's going to sit there and say, this fucking kid, RJ Barrett, just fucking shot on me.
No,
I'm getting
I'm sorry.
sick
I
and
got
tired of this kid,
no.
RJ
You
Barrett.
see, you slip in cap in between all your other cap. Do you think we're going to ignore it? Dude, he shouldn't. Kawhi, okay, I'm sorry.
Kawhi is not coming to New York.
LeBron,
Kawhi's not
Lakers,
coming.
Anthony.
Yes, he is.
LeBron James and Anthony Davis are the reigning champions, and the LA Lakers are the reigning champions. And Kawhi and playoff P got bounced last year in the NBA playoffs. The story are the Lakers until the Clippers and Kawhi can prove that he can will that team to a finals again. That's it, dude. I know, and that's not taking away from Kawhi because everyone loves to be all or nothing about everything these days. That's what I love about 2021. Like, you can't have any nuanced conversation. It's like, nah, if you don't agree with me 100%, it's do or die. And it's not you, Andrew. Like, this is actually not you. Like, dude, I have this kind of discussion with people in politics all the time. It's like, people literally don't want to like wrap their heads around like nuance at all. It's not like you like. But it's like, but that's like something that bothers me. It's just like, dude, like, yeah, we all know Kawhi's great. Like that's he actually might be pound for pound the best player in the league. You could probably still claim that and have an argument about it, right? But to say that he should be the story, like, and the only story in LA when the other guys are coming off an NBA title, and regardless, their team isn't doing as well. They should still be the story if the team's not doing as well, because you're seeing the NBA champions go from like first to like middle of the pack, one of the worst in the Western Conference potentially. So they're still gonna be the story because the Clippers, they've been at the same level and they've shown to be playing at the same level they were last year, which is like pretty good. But is it enough to get to the finals? Is it enough to win a championship? Which is the whole reason you assemble that goddamn team? I don't think so. I still don't think so. Like that's not a bigger story. That's not a bigger story.
On top of that, they lost their 2 seed to a Jamal Murray-less Nuggets, the MVP Nikola Jokic, who bounced them in the last playoffs. So look, I'm a known Kawhi hater. You know that every time someone says something positive about Kawhi, I say something negative to balance out the karmic energy in the universe, right? Because Kawhi,
I say you got to feng shui the conversation. I see.
Yeah, because Kawhi gets all the love, right? Everybody loves Kawhi. He's easy to love. Board man got game. He's quiet. He doesn't say much. He's in the gym. He's the kind of guy that you want on your team. There's no doubt about it. Kawhi is a great player. He is a top 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, wherever you want to put him. There are a lot of great players in the league right now. He's in that conversation, no doubt. But he's not. I mean, first of all, he's not coming to New York. Like, I don't think that you do everything to get to LA to then leave. So I don't think he's coming to New York. First of all, but more importantly, the Clippers are. Omar's absolutely right. The Clippers are not a story until they make themselves a story. The Clippers off the court play has been the story because they make it. Because Paul George is in the media complaining about some bullshit every other week. It started with the mental health stuff. Then it was, my mental health is not good. I'm depressed. But, out of the other side of my mouth, I'm going to call, Damian Lillard a bitch. And, it's not a good shot. Like right out of the other side of his mouth. Am I supposed to feel bad for you? Because you're I get it. We're all struggling. But like, then shut your ass up and play. Focus, quit talking shit if you're not in a good place. And then there's, these guys work to get Doc Rivers fired. Doc Rivers must be such a terrible coach. He's only coaching the Philadelphia 76ers to second in the East and turning Joel Embiid into an MVP candidate.
And
so
I think
clearly he must be such a terrible coach.
And I think Ben Simmons hit multiple threes this year, which
he took a step forward this year.
That is
Ben Simmons took a huge step forward this year.
Yep, behind Doc Rivers. Right, so clearly he's just a horrible coach, right? Clearly he was the reason why the Clippers are terrible.
Dude, if there's one thing that's been proven, Ty Lue is the pinnacle of NBA coaching. That much we know.
No, the pinnacle, because their offense
I can tell you that from experience. Hey, bro, we might have been first in the NBA as far as wins and gotten to the finals with David Blatt, but Ty Lue was the difference. Let me tell you with that Cavs team.
Ty Lue was the difference. Yeah. So at the end of the day, Ty Lue's not a bad coach. The Clippers are a great team. Right, Kawhi's an elite player. Paul George is an elite player, having a great season. But at the end of the day, the Clippers are, where's Stephen A. Smith? The Clippers are the Dallas Cowboys of the NBA. They are an accident waiting to happen. At the end of the day, they're an accident waiting to happen. So let's see the accident.
Especially with playoff P. Especially with playoff P, man. He is huge, huge, like Tony Romo vibes with him. Yep. Amazing. Huge. Amazing. He's amazing. But then it gets to the playoffs and it's just
so
literally that's what happened last year.
Until they show me that their on-court play is look, they're a great team. They're the best jump shooting team in the league. They have the best 3-point percentage. That's the number 1 and number 2 teams, actually, in 3-point percentage since the midway mark were the Knicks and the Clippers, right? The Clippers were first, the Knicks were second. And, that's because the Clippers take a lot of threes and they hit a lot of threes, got a lot of guys who hit threes, right? But at the end of the day, that hasn't translated to wins for the Clippers in the second half. The Nuggets have overtaken them. Nikola Jokic has done nothing but solidify himself as MVP, while Kawhi and Paul George miss games. So at the end of the day, the Clippers have to show me that their on-court performances are the story. And they haven't showed me that. So, they have a chance. Is anyone, like we've said, we think that the Lakers and the Warriors can bounce the Jazz and the Suns. There's no reason to think that, the Clippers and the Trailblazers, the Clippers and the Mavericks, whatever the 3-6 and 4-5 and 2-7 matchups end up looking like. There's no reason to think that the Clippers couldn't get bounced in the first round or the Clippers couldn't go all the way to the NBA Finals. You could tell me either of those things, and I'd say that they're equally plausible. But the Clippers have to show it to me first. On that note, guys, any final takes before we get on out of here?
Man, we had like last 40 minutes of final takes, literally. Hey, if in the future we ever do this, you guys wanted to preview a Real Take Knicks talk. That's exactly what this just was. Real Take Knicks.
We got Real Take Knicks and Real Take Mets in the same episode. That's how you know New York sports is way too good. You have to have the New York sports fans going. They won't stop.
They literally, guys, I don't know how I deal with this sometimes. But hey, one last I did want to talk to you guys about. Hey, yo, all three of us are back together. Didn't have a chance to do this beforehand because Johnny was in law school. I was busy. Andrew, we all had stuff going on in April. But basically a year ago, we started this podcast. Remember the first episode? By the way, if you guys want to check out video version of the first episode, right there on YouTube in our archives, check that out. Amazing progression with everything.
Feel free to check it out, or not.
or not. But no, I mean, originally when we started this out, it was a regular podcast, only audio. I only had the video version because I was recording the Zoom call to extract the audio, but save the video too, so that was cool. But no, man, it's just I just want to be man, it's been a crazy transition to YouTube and stuff. I don't know. It's weird that we've basically been doing this a year. And I feel like it's kind of second nature at this point. It's not one of those things you're like, oh shit, I gotta do a podcast. It's just oh, okay, cool. What's the next podcast? Okay, it's weird. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me. Cool. Because I'm crazy and I do this all the time because I'm insane.
No,
I think channel.
I think that we've all gotten comfortable. We've all kind of figured out how this is supposed to work. We step on each other's toes occasionally. We did that a bunch in this episode, but there's a lot of yelling in this episode. But we've all gotten
we are
comfortable
fans
of
New York sports.
We are the passionate fans. Oh, now I'm Bernie Sanders.
Let me just say this. I will make sure all sports get equal representation, whether you're a Knicks fan, whether you're a Jazz fan, or whether you're, unfortunately, a Pelicans fan.
Unfortunately. So, I know I haven't been around
The
so
Orlando
much.
Magic are in the bottom 99% in win percentage.
They deserve to be there.
Oh man, genuinely wanted to thank you guys. Is that no cap, zero cap? Which we're live, so it's kind of weird doing it. But regardless, I wanted to thank you guys for helping start this. A year ago. Because also the thing is, we didn't originally start this really do a podcast or get a YouTube channel. It was literally because I was bored. And the pandemic had just started, and I was like, I need to find an excuse to weekly at least converse with my friends about something I like. So I was like, okay, let's do the most pandemic thing ever and start a podcast. But no, it was cool because it was a way for us, I think, to interact. And our friendships kind of we had our ups and downs, but we kind of grew, I think, a little bit with that. And I think that was a really cool thing. It was a really cool takeaway for me, at least. So I just wanted to thank you guys for that. And hey, 430 subscribers on YouTube and still standing. The graphics obviously have gotten slightly better. Hopefully we're slowly upgrading, but hey,
capital improvements, one step at a time.
One step at a time.
One step at a time, baby.
But yeah, but I just want to thank you guys for helping this. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Omer, for doing such a great job producing. Just so you all know, Omer does all the work behind the scenes. He makes the graphics. He does the banners, he made the bricks in the background. He does the on-show producing, and he's a personality. So make sure all y'all subscribers give Omer his flowers too. he kills it up here. He's looking to move up in this world. This is a great stepping stone for him, and he's going to do great things. Andrew Lopenny over here is doing great things as well. I'm on my grind at law school, so we're all making moves. We're all doing it. We don't do it for the money, but the money's nice. That's for sure. Now, if we ever got it one day, that'd be great.
Someone's got to pay for the lap dances for the big guy. You know how it is.
I am not
That's
the big
true.
guy. Let me be clear. I am not the big guy.
No. Odell's the big guy getting lap dances on Justin Bieber's boat. We all know that.
Okay.
Anyway, my friends, that's going to do it for us this week. Be sure to join us again next week. In the meantime, keep the conversation going on Twitter by following us at Real Take Sports Talk. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube. Hit that like and subscribe button up on that bell. Make sure you get that notification every time we release a new video, every time Omer goes live about some wrestling stuff that I have no idea
Which
about.
I will do tomorrow night, Tuesday night, Real Take Wrestle Talk. Tomorrow night, 8:30 p.m. Going to be talking with Trevor, the Barman Sutton, about everything wrestling. AEW Blood and Guts was last week. Going to talk about that. WWE Raw breakdown, which I'm going to watch some point tonight. Probably won't sleep, but going to be doing that. Going to be doing a lot of other stuff, talking about history and wrestling, fan questions. Be sure to email us your questions at realtakesportstalk@gmail.com or on Twitter. Comment in a YouTube video. Whatever you want to do, let us know.
Let us know. Until next time, for Omer.
Oh, that's me. Later, guys.
And Andrew. I'm your boy, Johnny G, from the 305, saying good night. We love y'all.